Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, the 10th, I believe. So, what we were talking about last night, before I went off, about having two shows, is just, I love doing this, and I always change my mind. and really nothing's going on, so I'm also just do the shows and get the intel out. People can't get the intel. Tomorrow might be just one long one because I got to go shopping tomorrow, I think. So tomorrow's payday. The weather's clear today. We got a big lineup. We got, oh my goodness. We got one of our favorites came out yesterday. Spas, are you listening? She came out, an hour video. Glory, wow. Must be taking a break, y'all. Are you busy? Is this your quiet time? I'm glad you made it in at the beginning. You got grandkids? No, don't play now. We got a big show today, okay? We just had lunch. We're fine. Get up here. There's Chico. Oh, taking a break from laundry. Yeah, tomorrow's my busy day. So, like I was saying last night, that I just love doing this and just helps everybody with staying on and doing all this intel every day. I'm connected. I'm glued to it. Since day one, almost 6 years ago, we all been through a lot. Not going to give up. Someday, our day will come. We don't know what day that will be. We lost a lot of people, even with my family, with everybody else. It's been a rough journey. Chica's looking outside window. What are you doing? But it's just like I was saying before, if it wasn't for my show every day, I would have been a mess. So I do my shows, I watch my sports at night, play with Chico. What are you doing, Goopy? Huh? You gonna say hi? You gonna say hi to everybody? Huh? Oh, stop your whining. You say hi to Ariella? Ariella? Huh? Oh, good. Yeah. You're. That's good to hear, Smith. Or I think it's Smith. I don't know who's this. I can't see that name. About or is it Eva? I hope you that's going to help you. Yeah, those migraines are. Are you new? I don't know how long you've been following me, but thanks for your support. What state are you from? I like to ask what state people are from. I'm from Michigan. Oh, Lori is a longtime follower, Eva. She has a question to ask you. If you see her. West Virginia. Oh, we got Ann's from one of my mods, a longtime follower. She's taking a break, but she's from Virginia. Yeah, Lori. I think I remember you saying Missouri. Kay's still under the. She's still resting. She's not 100%, but hopefully she'll be in. But yeah, we're gonna do one probably now till about. I'm gonna try to go to 4, and then I'll come back at 7. I'll come back at 7 tonight. Spies, are you listening? We got that one girl lady from YouTube, another Walmart video, the funny lady. She has another, I don't know if it's a funny one or not, but it's a Walmart video. But I'm going to start off with 2 5-minute, or I think they're both 5-minute Marjorie Taylor Greene update. So I know a lot of people are at work right now. Well, everybody's probably at work. It's, 12:30. They usually pop in after the first half hour. While I'm on after the half hour, they start coming in listening at work and stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get started because I want to get a lot out. Huh? Want to get a lot out? Huh? What? We got dude, Lori. I can't believe it's been 7 years. It's 2018 when he passed. I got his ashes. I got photos. I got all this stuff with me. So let's go ahead and get started.
That some secrets in Washington are more dangerous than others. This conversation happened in September 2025 after I promised Jeffrey Epstein's victims that I would help identify their abusers. And everyone in my congressional office heard every word of it. The call came the day after I held a press conference promising to work with Epstein survivors to reveal the names of people responsible for sexual abuse against women and girls. I had just finished a closed-door House oversight hearing where I listened to these women tell their stories. They were trembling. Their bodies were shaking as they described being raped at 14, at 16 by rich and powerful men who thought they could buy silence along with everything else. I told those women I would help them get justice. I told them their stories mattered more than protecting powerful people who had escaped accountability for too long. I told them that transparency and truth were more important than political comfort and connected relationships. That press conference triggered the phone call that ended everything. I was in my office when my staff told me the president was on the line. I put the call on speakerphone as I usually did for official conversations. What happened next was loud enough that everyone in my suite of offices could hear Donald Trump screaming at me about the Epstein files. He was extremely angry that I had signed the discharge petition to force release of the government files connected to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking case. He was furious that I had promised to help identify people who had abused these women. And when I tried to explain why transparency mattered, he said something that I will never forget. My friends will get hurt. That's what the president of the United States told me when I asked him to support victims of sexual trafficking, not this will compromise ongoing investigations, not this will damage national security, not this will interfere with justice. He said his friends would get hurt. I was so shocked by that response that I asked him to clarify what he meant. I told him about the women I had just met, how they had been raped as children, how they had spent decades waiting for someone in power to care about their suffering more than they cared about protecting their abusers. That's when he made it clear that he cared more about protecting his connections than supporting their victims. He attacked the women I was trying to help, saying they hadn't done anything to merit an invitation to the Oval Office. He said they didn't deserve the honor of meeting with the president. The women who were trafficked and abused as children didn't deserve the honor. But the people who trafficked and abused them deserved protection because they were his friends. That call lasted about 20 minutes. Everyone on my staff heard the president of the United States prioritize the comfort of Jeffrey Epstein's associates over the justice that Epstein's victims had been seeking for decades. They heard him explicitly state that protecting powerful men was more important than acknowledging the suffering of the women and girls those men had harmed. But what shocked me most wasn't just what he said, it was the tone in which he said it. He wasn't conflicted about this decision. He wasn't struggling with competing priorities. He was angry that I was creating problems for people he cared about by supporting people he didn't care about. The message was clear. Jeffrey Epstein's victims were expendable. Jeffrey Epstein's associates were not. After that call, I knew I could never trust Donald Trump's judgment about anything involving accountability for powerful people. I knew that when it came to choosing between justice and protecting connections, he would always choose connections. I knew that all the talk about draining the swamp was just talk when the swamp included his friends. But what really ended our relationship wasn't just that phone call. It was what happened afterward when I realized that supporting sexual trafficking victims was somehow more controversial in Republican politics than protecting the people who had trafficked them. I started getting calls from other Republican members telling me to back off the Epstein files. I started getting pressure from party leadership to focus on other issues. I started getting lectured about the importance of party loyalty and political timing and strategic considerations. No one called to ask about the women I had met. No one seemed concerned about the fact that powerful people had sexually abused children and escaped accountability. No one wanted to discuss whether the American people deserved to know which government officials had been compromised by their connections to Jeffrey Epstein. The only concern was protecting the Republican Party from embarrassment and protecting connected people from exposure. That's when I understood that the Epstein files represented everything wrong with Washington. Rich, powerful elites doing horrible things and getting away with it while the women who suffered were treated like the problem for asking for justice. I couldn't be part of that system anymore. I couldn't pretend that party loyalty was more important than supporting victims of sexual trafficking. I couldn't stay quiet about what I had witnessed just to preserve.
Okay, that's the first one. I got a second one.
My congressional seat. And let me tell you something. Watching this feeding frenzy has been absolutely fascinating, because what we're seeing isn't just a special election. It's a perfect case study in how quickly political allies become political enemies when there's power up for grabs. And the most interesting part, some of these people used to work for me. Jim Tully. Remember that name, because this story is as much about him as anyone else. Jim Tully was the chairman of the 14th District Republican Party. He was one of my most senior field representatives. He was someone I trusted to speak for me when I couldn't be there myself. And now he's running to replace me, claiming he'll continue my legacy while being careful not to mention that pesky little detail about our working relationship until someone asks him directly. But Jim is just the beginning of this circus. We've got Clay Fuller, the Trump-endorsed district attorney, who thinks being a prosecutor somehow qualifies you to represent working families in Congress. We've got Colton Moore, a former state senator who got himself expelled from his own party's caucus for being too confrontational. We've got Reagan Box, a horse trainer who decided politics might be easier than dealing with 1,000-pound animals. And 16 other Republicans who all think they're the next great conservative hope. What's really fascinating is listening to how these candidates talk about me now that I'm gone. When I was in Congress fighting for conservative principles, half of these people wouldn't return my phone calls. When I was taking on the establishment and getting death threats for my trouble, most of them were nowhere to be found. But now that there's an open seat and they smell opportunity, suddenly everyone wants to claim my legacy. Take Jim Tully, for example. When he announced his campaign, he said my departure left a glaring loss in the district and that he had to give voters hope. Hope for what? Hope that they'll get someone who actually fought for them like I did, or hope that they'll get someone who talks a good game but never rocks the boat. Because based on Jim's track record, they're getting the latter. The truth is, Jim Tully spent years watching me take the heat for asking uncomfortable questions about government spending, foreign aid, and corporate welfare. He watched me get attacked by the media, threatened by lunatics, and eventually forced out by my own party's leadership for refusing to play along with their games. And through all of that, he was happy to let me be the lightning rod while he stayed safely in the background. Now that I'm gone, he wants the job without the controversy. He wants the platform without the principles. He wants the power without the price. And honestly, that's exactly what most politicians want. They want to say they're fighting for conservative values while never actually fighting for anything that might cost them their next election. But Jim isn't the only fascinating character in this race. Colton Moore bills himself as Trump's #1 defender in the district, which is interesting considering Trump just endorsed Clay Fuller instead of him. Moore was expelled from the Senate Republican caucus for being too aggressive about impeaching Fani Willis. He was banned from the House floor for criticizing leadership. He was literally arrested for trying to push his way into the state chamber during the State of the State address. Now, I appreciate anyone who's willing to fight the establishment, but there's a difference between principled resistance and attention-seeking behavior. When I challenged party leadership, it was because they were betraying conservative principles. When I demanded transparency about the Epstein files, it was because victims deserved justice. When I questioned foreign aid packages, it was because American families deserved better. Every fight I picked was about something bigger than myself. I'm not sure the same can be said about some of these other candidates. Some of them, 22 people.
Okay, those are 2 updates from Margie Taylor. Okay, the next one's about 9 minutes. If anybody let me know if it's good to play or not to play, I'll stop it.
any of this. And when you see what's happening in other areas of prophecy, then the picture becomes even clearer. We're not just seeing technology advance, we're seeing multiple areas of prophecy align at the same time. Let me show you 5 specific signs the Bible tells us to watch for. Sign number 1, the rise of false prophets and false teachers. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 5 warns about people having a form of godliness but denying its power. They look religious.
Did we play
They
this
sound
one yet?
spiritual, but there's no real transformation,
if we played this
no
one.
repentance, no cross, just comfort, just affirmation, just telling people what they want to hear. And we're seeing this explode right now. Prosperity gospel preachers with private jets telling poor people to send money. Progressive churches removing sin from their vocabulary. New Age spirituality mixed with Christian language. Jesus said in Matthew 24, verse 11, "And many false prophets will rise up and deceive many." Many. Not a few. Many. And we're watching it happen. Sign number 2, nations aligning against Israel. We already talked about Zechariah 12. All nations gathered against Jerusalem. Right now, Israel is more isolated internationally than ever before. The UN passes more resolutions against Israel than any other country. International courts are prosecuting Israeli leaders. College campuses worldwide have anti-Israel protests. Even some evangelical Christians are questioning whether supporting Israel is biblical. The stage is set exactly as prophecy described.
I changed my mind again.
Sign number 3, the infrastructure for a cashless society. We've covered this. Digital.
I decided to go now till about 3:30, and then come back at 7 because we got Mel came out yesterday. It's an hour video, so we got a lot of good stuff today. I changed my mind again.
Currency, biometric payments. The technology exists. But here's what's remarkable. This is happening globally, but not just in one country, everywhere. Over 130 countries researching CBDCs. Cashless payments becoming normal in Scandinavia. China already largely cashless. The system that could control all buying and selling is being built worldwide. At the same time, that's never happened before in history. Sign number 4, AI replacing human decision-making. Jobs are disappearing, not because of outsourcing, because of artificial intelligence. Writers, artists, customer service, even lawyers and doctors. AI is taking over tasks that were uniquely human, and people are starting to trust AI more than people. They ask it questions, follow its advice, rely on its judgment. 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 11 says, God will send them strong delusion, that they should believe the lie. What if part of that delusion is trusting machines over truth? Trusting algorithms over the Word of God? Sign number 5, love growing cold. Jesus said in Matthew 24, verse 12, because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. Look at society right now. Division everywhere. Families broken. Neighbors don't know each other. People more connected digitally, but more isolated relationally. Because here's the truth. God is not surprised by any of this. And when you see what's happening in other areas of prophecy, then the picture becomes even clearer. We're not just seeing technology advance. We're seeing multiple areas of prophecy align at the same time. Let me show you 5 specific signs the Bible tells us to watch for. Sign number 1, the rise of false prophets and false teachers.
So I hope that one was okay. Hey, Maria, changed my mind again. Because we got Mel came out last night, an hour video that changed the whole. That changed the whole day. So a lot of intel again today. But the next one is the new TikTok lady we found is 10 minutes. I don't think Kay's in yet. She's still resting, still sick a little bit.
County over the FBI's seizure of the 2020 election ballots. You can go back and watch my prior videos if you want to catch up, but I'm going to give you the real short version, which is the FBI had a search warrant. They raided the Fulton County election facilities in South Fulton County. They seized, among other things, the original 2020 ballots. This made Fulton County very upset. They threatened and then filed a motion in federal court demanding to get those things back. They also filed a motion demanding that the affidavit, which is the basis by which a judge decides whether or not to issue a search warrant, they wanted that unsealed. Fulton County filed their motions, these arguments, under seal as well. So they were making a lot of statements in public, but we weren't able to see what they had actually filed with the court. So now today, a judge, a federal judge in the Northern District of Georgia, has agreed to unseal the pleadings, meaning all the things that have been filed, the judge says everybody can see those now. And he has said, I will also unseal the affidavit associated with the search warrant. But here's where it gets kind of funny. So you got to follow the bouncing ball here. He has ordered that affidavit, the search warrant affidavit, be unsealed by tomorrow, which is Tuesday, February 10th. Okay, so but it hasn't been unsealed yet. But that didn't stop Fulton County from filing this motion to try to get their stuff back. And what are they arguing in this motion? They're arguing that that affidavit was garbage, but they haven't seen the affidavit yet. So it's very odd to me. I'm not sure why they didn't wait, see what was in the affidavit, and then make a substantive argument. Well, we've seen the affidavit and the affidavit is garbage. It's a little bit less credible when you say that affidavit is garbage when you haven't read it yet. I'm going to go through some of the arguments that Fulton County has made in this unsealed document. I'm not going to read the whole 27 pages to you. You would want to take a bath with a toaster. I had to suffer for you. I am going to just hit the highlights on the stuff that I'm talking about that is so funny. So let's get started. So let's start out with some examples of Fulton County arguing in this memorandum that the affidavit was invalid and garbage and the search warrant was invalid and garbage, even though they haven't seen the affidavit yet. All right, so on page 6, they say, as set out in detail in petitioner's simultaneously filed motion to unseal the affidavit submitted to obtain the search warrant, the warrant was based on repeatedly debunked claims of voter fraud in Georgia and Fulton County. Okay, so number one, have they actually seen the affidavit? I'm wondering if they probably have. They have some unauthorized copy of it. They're not supposed to let the judge know that they've seen something that's supposed to be sealed, because otherwise, it is wild that they would say that this affidavit was based on debunked claims of fraud when they're still seeking to see the affidavit. And also, do they really think that an AUSA, and for those of you that are out there that don't like acronyms, that just means federal prosecutor, that the AUSA would, and this FBI agent would seek a warrant and go to a judge with a straight face and say, we heard rumors that there was some, naughty behavior in 2020. So can we have a search warrant? And the magistrate judge is like, sure, sounds good to me, just signs. There has to be more than them just repeating conspiracy theories to the magistrate judge. And then let's move on to page 15 to 16. I want to show you another example of them saying that. Although the underlying affidavit is sealed, i.e., although we haven't seen it yet, petitioners are simultaneously moving to unseal it. Please let us see it, but we haven't seen it yet. It likely, meaning, oh, wait for it. Yeah, we haven't seen it yet. Recycled those discredited allegations as if they had merit. Why did they not wait and say, here's what the affidavit says, and this is why it's bad? just some wild examples of Fulton County just going way out on the very narrowest part of the limb there. Another argument that they made in this memo to try to convince the judge to get their property back is that the crimes listed in the search warrant, the statute of limitations has run. I addressed this in another video. Yes, the fallback statute of limitations is 5 years, but there's a lot that we don't know. And I'm surprised that Fulton County hasn't, again, reserved that argument, because number one, we don't know if there's already been a grand jury indictment that's sealed somewhere and this is just follow-up investigation. And if that's the case, the statute of limitations has already been satisfied. Or they're approaching it based on a crime that occurred after the 2020 election, including the crimes that are listed in the search warrant, and or some type of conspiracy or RICO associated with those crimes. So there are certainly ways that you can get around that 5-year statute of limitation. And again, what's wild to me is they didn't wait to see, because a magistrate judge in the Northern District of Georgia is going to lose her shit if an AUSA and an FBI agent came with a straight face and argued that these crimes were pending when there is no question that the statute of limitations has run on those. If that is in fact the case, there is going to be a whole separate firestorm. But I'd like to think they're at least a little bit smarter than that, and that the magistrate judge would see through that if it was that clear and obvious. So I'm not sure why they would make those arguments until they have seen this affidavit and know what the government told that judge. All right. So let me leave you with something funny because I have to. All right. So as supporting evidence in this memo that I just talked to you about, they include a declaration of Nadine Williams, who is the elections director. And in this declaration, she explains all the things that happened that day. This is the same woman who was overheard on body camera by the AJC, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, our local newspaper, saying basically she did not care what the FBI did with the ballots, and she didn't care basically if they made paper airplanes out of them. So a little irony that they're now using her as evidence when she's the one that said, don't care. All right, one more thing. If you're a Fulton County taxpayer, or if you're just a taxpayer in general, you're going to want to know this. The Fulton County Commission has hired outside counsel. I saw that 2 of them have filed notices of appearance in the case we've been talking about in this video, which means that we are now paying private counsel as taxpayers to fight the FBI to get back the ballots that our tax dollars are also paying, federal tax dollars are paying those lawyers for. So we're paying for federal prosecutors to take the ballots. We're now paying, we have Fulton County counsel, Sue Joe, who's the one who filed the 2 motions that we've been talking about. We pay her salary. And now we're paying private counsel in addition to her salary to help litigate who's going to get the ballots. And lest we forget, the ballots were being held over civil litigation that was being defended by Fulton County over those ballots. So everybody's fighting everybody, and we're paying for it. Wait, one more last funny thing I got to share with you. I'm sorry. Okay. Page 23. Whenever there is a search warrant fight, one of the classic arguments that is made is the search warrant's too broad. Hey, you guys asked for everything under the sun when you should have just specifically asked for this one thing. I make that argument all the time when my clients have had their cell phones seized and the state goes through, dumps the whole cell phone, looks at everything. But this, I got to show you this. So page 23, the warrant's sweeping authorization to seize every record without any attempt to delineate allegedly tainted records from unquestionably valid ones constitutes a, quote, general exploratory rummaging, close quote, in violation of the 4th Amendment. They wanted the FBI to say, can y'all just send us the fake ballots? If the request is all based on debunked conspiracy theories and there were no illegal doings and no bad votes, fake votes, whatever, how could the FBI ask you to just show us the fake votes? The whole point is, I believe, the FBI is saying we need to look through these because we think somewhere in here is evidence of crime. Why didn't you just ask us for the fake votes? What? So lots of entertaining stuff in these pleadings, folks. Tomorrow we'll get the search warrant affidavit unsealed and we'll see. Was it based on debunked election conspiracy theories? Was it based on crimes where the statute of limitations has absolutely categorically run? And will the judge go, yeah, you're right. They should have just asked you to send them the fake votes. I'll keep you updated.
Okay, that's that new lady from TikTok, does 10-minute video. Oh, Lucy, you timed it perfectly. I got a new video for the one lady we like. I changed my mind again. We got Mel. Mel came out last night, an hour video. So I'm going to go from now till 3:30, then come back at 7. Tomorrow is shopping day. So be one long show tomorrow, about 4 or 5 tomorrow.
Stuck in traffic. I want to give you an update. Apparently, they have got a photo of a potential suspect in the Nancy Guthrie case. They're supposed to be releasing that very soon. I tell you what, this case has been a mystery. I mean, the timing of it is odd. Who kidnaps somebody and doesn't take their heart medicine so they can keep that person alive, so they can use them to get the money? The police released the scene before they had really thoroughly took care of everything. So then all the newscasters walked all over the property. The house was left, alone, where people could, potentially mess up evidence. I think the person that did this is not associated with the person that kidnapped. There was no sign of life given I think that was just somebody taking advantage. I personally, we've all got our conspiracy theories. You liberals with your TDS, y'all all think that Trump took her. Yeah. I personally think this lady, I don't think she ever made it out of that house. Okay. I think something horrible happened in that house. Okay. It was a whoops. Yeah. We got to try to fix this. We got to try to cover it up. Then I think somebody else decided to try to take advantage of it. Either way, guys, everybody have a great day, except for liberals. You have the day you deserve, and take care, and keep your eyes out for that photo. Let's hope that we're all wrong. Let's hope this lady's okay and she's found and brought home safe. And let's hope that the family that's missing in Theodore, the mama and the 2 kids, let's hope that they're found and brought home too. Okay, let's hope that. Good morning/evening, everybody. I am stuck in traffic. I want to give you an update. Apparently they have.
So that was a short video on something that I got. The one guy that does good job, so good intel, 9 minutes, and then we'll do Mel's big video, an hour. Yeah, we'll do Mel, that's an hour after this.
It is February 9th, the year of our Lord 2026. Across this country, on social media, we are seeing people making threats, in trying to intimidate, actually committing acts of terrorism on social media. And I'm going to show you something here in just a minute. It probably won't shock you. Many people probably know this, but this is a major federal crime. Intimidation, when it's taken in the context of terrorism, because what do terrorists do? Terrorists, or the definition of terrorism, is the act of violence or the threat of violence to a political end. More importantly, that's what terrorists do. And let me give you a perfect example, a very good example. It's a form of extortion. I'm gonna be the bad guy here. I'm gonna tell you, you're a restaurant owner, okay? And this is like a mafia shakedown or extortion. Hey, restaurant owner, you might have a problem here because your restaurant might be burned down. So you're going to pay us protection, and we're going to protect you from having your restaurant burned down. What they don't tell you, okay, the mafia or the terrorist, that they're the ones that's going to burn your restaurant down. That is a major form of extortion. It is a major crime. Terrorists basically will either commit violence or threaten to commit violence. When they threaten to commit violence, that is intimidation. Stay with me. This is vitally important to what I'm trying to talk to you about and trying to explain. And a lot of people understand this, but the Democrats, ladies and gentlemen, many of the Democrats or people that call themselves in this country Democrats are Marxists, and they're committing major crimes of extortion, terrorist crimes, because you can't basically threaten, especially federal officers, with injury or intimidate them that they're going to be, or someone or you or a group of people may harm them. Pay very close attention. Now, pay very close attention. This is just one person out of thousands on social media, posting on social media. Watch what she says and listen to this very carefully.
People. And when ICE comes to town, don't give them a chance. Yeah. Get a sniper and shoot. Blow their fucking faces off. Watch them fucking drown in their own goddamn blood.
This is a major felony. Listen to me. I think most, rational thinking people will understand this. I'm going to show you something else. Hang on. Now I'm going to show you a second thing here. This is Fox News. They're talking about a gentleman that they just arrested recently. He is a member of Antifa. Antifa is the Marxist movement's militant wing to basically create chaos and terrorize anyone here in America. Pay very close attention to this.
So as you mentioned, this is a self-described Antifa member now hit with federal charges for his disturbing videos on social media. We'll show you more of those.
This guy's major terrorist, domestic.
They arrested him yesterday early in the morning. He was proudly wearing a hoodie with "I'm Antifa" plastered right across it there. The criminal complaint describes the threats against ICE. Fox obtained some of those videos. You can watch it for yourself.
This is not a joke. There's nothing fun to chant about it. Get your guns and stop these people.
This is where ICE has come.
I might have played this one. I can't.
That guy I just showed you. I'm telling you what. I'm the founder of VPAC, Ensure the Preservation of American Constitution. About 5 years ago, I wrote a book, and since then I've produced 4 documentaries about the Marxist political warfare being waged on this country. The last gentleman you just saw, the bald-headed guy with the angry face, Antifa, he makes no bones about it. Let me put it to you this way. I'm going to put it in a very concise way. Title 18 U.S. Code 115 makes it a federal crime to assault, kidnap, murder, or threaten to harm federal officers, judges, law enforcement officers, or their immediate family members. Even if you threaten, okay, that is a threat, is basically a form of terrorism. Listen to me very carefully. When terrorists terrorism is by definition the use of violence or the threat of violence to which is I might say political or an outcome. We see thousands of people. And here's the point that I want to make. We see thousands of people on social media, posting on social media, like this gentleman just did, and that lady did, to get a gun and shoot federal officers. We see even more. I want to show you something. See that guy right there? That's Mr. Elias Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez was a protester. He was aligned with the pro-Palestine organization in New York, in the East Coast. He murdered those two people coming out of a meeting in Washington, D.C. When people who are troubled or who hate so much the America or conservatives like you and I or Donald Trump, what happens is that they lose all rational thought or the ability to think rationally. And then it ends up in impulsive, destructive behavior. Not many people are talking about this. We see hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that hate Donald Trump so much. They talk about it. They post on it. They post about it on social media. The next thing that's going to happen, and many of them may not act. This gentleman I just showed you that hated the Jewish people and the MAGA movement killed two people as they came out of that building. He was lying in wait and murdered both of them. We see it over and over. Now we see people intimidating and obstructing the federal officers. Let me put it to you this way. This is further. This statute aims to protect officials from intimidation or retaliation related to their duties, carrying penalties of fine and imprisonment. Let me repeat this. Title 18 U.S. Code 115. This statute aims to protect officials from intimidation, terrorist threats, or retaliation related to their duties. This is war. I talked about it. Please go to preservingamericaepac.com, watch our documentary. And whatever you do, be peaceful. Think. Don't react. I don't hate anybody. There's people stolen money from me, abandoned me, whatever. I don't hate any of them. Why did Mrs. Kirk forgive Charlie Kirk's killer? So she wouldn't end up hating him. Please be peaceful. There's a way we can win this war. Please go to Preserving America EP.
Okay, that's a good one from another one from TikTok. Okay, it's mail time. 1 hour and 8 minutes.
Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Yay! We're back in Jacksonville, Florida. No, not Jacksonville. Where are we? Sarasota. I was in Jacksonville just a few short hours ago. That's incredible. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, it is Manic Monday, and boy, am I excited, as you can tell. So, as I said, we survived the Super Bowl. We're all seeing, of course, many, many decodes coming out. What is it all transpiring? The Bad Bunny, the rabbit holes, everything is going on with all of that. But as I always say, there's always real progress that's going on in the background. And this progress is happening in the IMF frameworks that we're seeing as well. and everything from Bangladesh to Uzbekistan to all these other countries. This, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, is the reset that you're seeing in front of you. The Clarity Act, well, it seems to be in stalling mode, but however, they are going to be talking about the crypto bill, and that tomorrow, February the 10th. Keep an eye on that because, as I said, they've sort of kept it a little bit quiet, but there could be a possibility of seeing that giving us more clarity in the release of what we need to have released. Operations, of course, are going on in the background. We're seeing, as I said, in the IMF, we're also seeing treaties between countries. We're still seeing many trade deals. Central banks are still hoarding gold. Interesting. The Treasury and the Treasury bonds, keep an eye on that as well. And the settlement laws. Now, this is something I really wanted to touch on a little bit tonight. There's not a lot that I can physically show you that's going on, but in the background, I'm hearing out of banks and treasuries and other big subsidiaries about new settlement laws. Settlement. This is to do, of course, with your mortgages and all of those nefarious things that have been going on. So they're actually incorporating some new laws and legalities in the background. So this has to be part of Jasara, ladies and gentlemen. So get very excited. We'll keep an eye on the technical and the institutional changes that are going on in Treasury departments, as I said, as well as the background of the IRS and, of course, tax agents and things like that in many different countries. So I'm starting to see some movement again in settlement laws. So we'll keep an eye on that. If I see anything major, of course, I will let you know. We did touch on the other day, of course, about public banking. Now, we know that during this time, we've seen a lot of the central bank structure of the actual quantum financial system occurring, but now we're starting to see this public banking system come out in play. Understand too that when it becomes in the public eye, so all the infrastructure for the quantum financial system has been done in the background. When it becomes public, it means that things do seem to move a little bit slower, but that's because they have to disclose everything to you and I. So this is why I said there's disclosure that goes on, but it's always in the background that we cannot see. But there are changes that for approvals, as I said, institutional, technical issues that they are working on in the background. So get very, very excited. This, as I said, is the new compliance for all of your banks. We'll see how this one pans out. As I said, I'm certainly noticing some very interesting things over here in the United States regarding the credit unions over here as well. So with all of that being said, when there's multiple changes in the public banking system, you start to see some the markets, the trade markets, that being the stock market, the foreign currency exchange, and of course in the commodities, you will see some responses according to those compliance changes in the public sector and in the banks. So keep an eye out on that. As I said, the currency exchange rates, we talked about that on our last show. And of course, they didn't like me talking about that, did they? So they certainly altered the speed of my voice and things like that as well. So I will sit down and actually reword that, and I'll do a special voice message regarding the questions that the beautiful Sunny A asked and my actual response regarding the exchange rates and how they operate and function in the background. So keep an eye out for that one. What was very, very interesting is that Iraq is talking about these new smart grids. Now, this is something that I talked about exclusively in Australia because no one wanted the smart meters. Now, when the original smart meters come out in Australia, they were bad. And then they came back and then they swapped them with new meters. And so please don't be discouraged when you see countries such as Iraq talking about the smart grids and the e-billing projects. This is part of the new system, not the old system. So just because we saw it happen in Australia and it was bad, as I said, they have been going around and even upgrading our national broadband network as well. So understand what could have been and now they're changing it. So, yeah, that was pretty exciting actually to see the smart grids. Just understand a lot of these countries, not just Iran, but other countries as well as Africa, a lot of people don't have electricity. So this is where it becomes very, very exciting for all of those citizens who have not been indoctrinated with, of course, as I said, smart meters and what have you. There was an interesting article that we're going to post after the show, and it really got me very excited. It's talking about the wages in Vietnam are being paid their lunar year bonuses. Lunar year. Are we actually going into a new calendar, or has it already happened? Very good read. Enjoy that article. It's about the lunar year bonuses and the wages being paid in Vietnam. So very cool. Kuwait, what's happening in Kuwait? We did touch on this in the last Q&A. We talked about the Kuwaiti dinar being, of course, the strongest currency in the world. What also happens is that they're also doing financial reforms and boosting their investor confidence and international ratings. So they are now getting ratings for people to invest in that country, and rightly so. I mean, they do have the strongest currency in the world. So that's what they're doing as well. What's happening in the World Bank? This, of course, does tie up with the IMF. So the IMF and the World Bank, as well as BRICS, all are working alongside of each other. But the World Bank is reaffirming their commitment to Pakistan, and they're talking to them regarding their 10-year development program. So this is part of the rebuilding and the restructuring of Pakistan. Now, understand when you understand the dynamics of BRICS, this is also incorporating Pakistan into Bharat, which is, of course, the Indian kingdom, which is being rebuilt and restructured as well. So that was a very exciting article to read from the World Bank. Not that we ever got excited about the World Bank, because we always believed it to be corrupt, but they are also committing $10.5 million to $6.5 million in grants in Nigeria, and that's to be released. Very interesting date, this one, March the 27th. That's going to be all finalised. So the World Bank all of a sudden has money and they're committing to countries to rebuild. Oh, that's never happened before. So that is a massive, massive sign, ladies and gentlemen, that things are actually moving. Get very, very excited. The big thing before we go into Q&A, ladies and gentlemen, is what I am very, very excited about is, of course, we talk about Israel is last. An article was sent to me by a very special person, and this article is talking about how Israel is setting up their crypto forum and regulatory reform lobbies. Again, as I said earlier, if they're talking about this in the public sector, means it's already done, and Israel is last. Does that mean Israel is now on the quantum system? Oh, boom shakalaka, baby, ladies and gentlemen. I am very, very excited this evening. It is now over to you. I'm going to quickly scroll through. I did see a Cherie, I think, put her hand up very early in the beginning of the podcast. So if you're still there, Cherie. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, it is now over to you for Q&A. As I said, this is all about you. So fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Who is going to come up and ask a question? So, or you're still all stung because I have got all this exciting news. So who we got? Or are they not going to let me have Q&A? That's interesting. Nobody has got their hand up yet. Wow, here we go. CA. Oh, this will be interesting. What's going on in Canada? CA, how you going, champ? And MA as well. MA and CA. MC. I was an MC.
Hello, Mel. Hello, Mel.
How you going, champ?
I forgot to unmute myself. My bad.
You were talking to yourself. That's nice.
MA is my brother. So we're sitting together. Wanted to say thank you again for the live that you did last time. It was fantastic. A few things in the news. So I just joined in Canada. What's happening, especially in British Columbia, there's a new movement going on with what they're calling the Prosperity Project. I think British Columbia.
So looking at Fox here, you guys, it says they're showing a photo. They were hiding the camera, tampering with the evidence, and they said they found an armed person at the mom's house. A backpack outside Nancy Guthrie home. So they got a suspect with a mask and everything.
Way Canada's going, and the report never did mention though where 70% are, and the report came out it was out of Montreal or out of Toronto. So I really enjoyed how they say 70% of the country is fine when they're all basically back east. So it was really that much interesting. But my credit cards, not my credit cards, my question to you are, there's a few questions I was going to ask you. The first one was, today I noticed on DJT's a Telegram post, he posted that Canada, the US, Mexico, and Greenland, he posted that picture again of the whole thing. So I think it's only a matter of time before, you know, it starts to materialize again. And then the second one had to do with credit cards. I read a few of the posts where credit cards like MasterCard and Visa are joining with Ripple to create their own or their new banking, or to be part of the banking sector. The one question I wanted to ask you is, I know that credit cards are nefarious because when you purchase something on a credit card, the product is already paid for because it's taken out of your C'est Suite Vie. How is it possible those companies are still allowed to do business when they've been basically double dipping for so long, right?
Absolutely. And they won't be able to double dip. So what happens is there's, as I said, there's two parallels. And I was just talking about this about 15 minutes ago, actually, whilst we were at dinner. And I said to them, please understand, this whole bank collapse, including the credit cards, now we're actually seeing in the background. I wish it was for more people, but they're obviously doing tests in the background. We are seeing people having their credit card debts completely wiped. Generally around about $10,000 worth have been wiped.
Interesting.
Understand that the reason that they're coming in with these new credit cards, debit cards, and this is where it gets very interesting. So with the new credit cards, although they're calling them credit cards, they're actually utilised as debit cards in the new wealth management sector. All right? So in the wealth management sector, although they're still calling them credit cards, which is really annoying me because I'm going, it's not really a credit card. It's more of a debit card. But what they're doing is you would have noticed, though, in the credit card sectors, they have eliminated quite a few bonuses that they used to run with. You know, like you used to get 50 million flyby points and this, that, and all the rest of it. but technically you were already buying those points with the amount of interest that they were charging. Now they're having these investment companies actually are investing into the credit card saga. But what will happen is that it will collapse the old system, and what you're seeing coming through is the new system. So you can expect that when the new system collapses, although we're still seeing MasterCard and Visa cards and that going through this new protocol, it should eliminate all of that.
So far, so good with
credit
Mel's
card
video.
debt that you used to have. So we were talking.
So
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You first. You please.
Yeah. So I'll use Bitcoin as a very good example for this. Remember, DJT actually did state that, maybe we should pay off the national debt with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the same with credit card debts. There has to be a point where we have a 0 day, where everything zeroes out. These systems, remember, as I said, are running parallel. So you'll see the system collapse. How long does it collapse for? I expect only about 2 to 3 days. And then that will eliminate all of that nefarious interest that they used to charge. But there is companies that are coming in and actually creating an actual program where you can actually earn points to utilize, especially in the factor of Bitcoin is, as I said, they will use that to pay off the debts. That takes everything to zero. Does Bitcoin stay? We will wait and see. You've got to remember that these systems, as I said, are still running parallel until such time as the system flips. And that's why you see these parallels. And it's like when the central bank digital currency came out and there was this hoo-ha about that. But what I was reading in the background when they were implementing that, it was like, well, that's not a central bank digital currency. It's more like central banking. Yeah, central banking digital currency. And I think that's what we're seeing in the whole MasterCard, Visa card, as well as in the crypto markets with the Bitcoin and all of that as well. So just remembering, as I said, we have 2 parallel systems. It is slightly confusing, but as I said, I think once the Bitcoin, just remember it's now being mined in the US as well. And there's a reason for that, is because, as I said, we still have 20% of Bitcoin mined that is not nefarious and that people still invest in Bitcoin. So that's why I say I don't think Bitcoin, it technically goes to zero and it will stay at zero, but I think it will come back up on those ledgers that you were just talking about, where the Visa cards and MasterCards are running, of course, on the XRP ledger. And I actually did that on a napkin tonight at dinner. So I think I could even show you the napkin where I wrote that down. So that's why there's these 2 parallels, and there's a little understanding that there's 2 parallels, and once it flips, then yes, that will be all cleared up. But it's a parallel world that we're living in.
Well, go ahead. Okay, so in this case, in parallel, that will eliminate all collection agencies, as well as other nefarious activities that have been in the background.
Yes,
correct.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and in regards to places like the CRA, which is the Canadian Revenue Agency and stuff, from what I read a long time ago, was they were in the same position. They were actually instituted in Puerto Rico, where the IRS was. So would that be also something to look for that eventually is going to be phased out, just like the IRS?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, there was about over 6,000 alterations in the IRS. Now, the fact that you've pointed out that they are part of the Puerto Rican sector as well, that means that they're already part of America, if that makes sense.
Because the IRS was actually, as a business, was registered in Puerto Rico, and I read a long time ago that Canada was actually, the CRA was actually linked to the IRS and also linked into Puerto Rico. So is that something valid to say that they were both actually created out of a company, and they're not really the federal, or for that matter, government institutions?
It's a corporation. That's correct.
Corporation.
Yep. And once those corporations, and whilst I was in Jacksonville, geez, I've done some traveling in the last week, I can tell you. Whilst I was in Jacksonville, we did talk about how certain business people purchased properties for $1. And it's the same with these corporations. They were purchased because these corporations were seized, and then they were restructured. And again, we're going to see this whole name changing thing as well. So the the revenues, the IRS, the Canadian Revenue, the Australian Taxation Office, they will be altered and changed, but they will run under that umbrella, I believe, until 2027 to 2029. And then by 2029, you'll see a whole heap of name changes. It's the same with JP Morgan and Chase. Someone actually asked this question, I think, from Wisconsin Group the other day, and they were asking about, why are they still running the JP Morgan? Again, it's a simultaneous network that we're running, but they will also have a name change as well. So that'll be very, very interesting moving forward. So they were all corporations. They were dysfunctional. They were corrupt. And how do you do that? You seize their assets, repurchase them, restructure them, and use what could have been much worse than what it was. When people understand, as I said, there were 6,000 changes just in the IRS in this last quarter. So you can bet your bottom dollar that involved Canadian revenue as well. So that'll be interesting to see what transpires of that. Now that everything's coming out publicly, as I said, then you're going to start seeing the markets and that starting to react and respond, as well as your individual tax refunds and returns should alter and change as well. So we'll see what happens.
Hi, Mel. My name is Marwan. I'm Shadi's brother. We're sitting here side by side. I just have 2 questions to ask you really quickly before everybody else, if you don't mind.
Are you twins? Come on, tell me that you're 2 twins, yeah?
We're twins, yes.
I'll give you the video.
Yeah, I can tell. It's the same voice. It's the same voice virtually. And I'm like, M-A and C-A, that has to be there has to be twins. Knock yourself out. Sorry, darling.
There you go. Hi. There you go. Does that work?
There you go. Now I can see it. Now I'm clear on what's going on there.
There you go. It's
all
not
right,
the same
brothers in arms.
Oh, exactly. Just the 2 quick questions I have to ask you. The first one is, with everything that's coming out, with the whole Epstein files and the exposures of everyone, yesterday someone asked the president if they're going to focus on starting to arrest other individuals, and Lutnick in the background was laughing. And then, since I don't know how legitimate Trump, like the new Trump is in power, is involved, I'm sure he's not, but how does this play out globally? Will it put a hold on the global financial reset because of everything is being exposed? Is it they want to fry everybody, or is it going to be sort of like, because for the last 5 years, we've been listening to people have been going to Guantanamo Bay. Hillary Clinton's already been dealt with. Biden's been dealt with. Obama's are in the forefront. Now they throw in President Trump and Brian Lutnick, and they're saying that RFK is involved in the whole thing with trips and so on. So is this forcing, or will this cause a break to a certain point, like a slowdown of the momentum of the global financial reset? Or is the military trying to just clean house altogether at any cost?
I'm glad you bring this one up, brother, because
thank you.
Thank you very, very much for bringing it up. So let's ask the question. So basically what you're asking, is Jeffrey Epstein good or bad?
No, I'm asking if they're gonna put a hold, like if the arrests are gonna continue, because everybody keeps saying, "Are we gonna see any arrests or not?" And then they throw in yesterday or 2 days ago, they throw in President Trump, Brian Lutnick, I think his name's Brian Lutnick,
Brian Lutnick,
and then RFK's name in there, and they're saying out of everybody, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a real patriot because her name's not on the list, and a whole bunch of other people. So are they throwing, as the white hat military, throwing everybody under the rug regardless? And how unscathed are we going to come out? And is this going to put a break on the financial reset?
Or is the financial reset still going, is what Myron's trying to say.
I think basically, like I was hinting that, is he good or is he bad?
Oh, sorry.
Because no, that's okay. That's all right.
I'm not wearing my glasses.
That's okay. Not a problem. So what happens there is everyone who you thought was bad is actually good. Everyone that we thought was good is probably bad. Probably. Not all of them.
Yeah.
Some are playing double roles, as you know. Does this accelerate it? How many times have they attempted to bring Epstein files into the forefront? Right? Now, as I said over dinner tonight, understand this. Every time we go around this full circle, and it's a pain in the ass for all of us, to be quite honest, we go, oh, here we go again. But is it because we're seeing the protest, as you said, how much that's escalating, yeah?
Yep.
So every time they push this Epstein files up, it's accelerating people's awareness of what is going on. It's the same with the Guthrie thing. We're in day 9 of this Guthrie, which is taken over from the Epstein files, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Is this the 10 days of darkness? They went down a manhole.
That's a
what
good
else
point
is a manhole?
there,
A rabbit hole.
Yeah.
$6 million worth of Bitcoin. They believe it has been said that Jeffrey Epstein is linked to Bitcoin.
Nakamoto. He's the creator of the Satoshi. He's not
Do
Satoshi
you-
Nakamoto.
That's what I'm saying. So for you to ask the question, I'm darn excited because I believe it's accelerating the RV. The revaluation of currencies is accelerating because we're seeing so many of these narratives coming through. And, of course, the puppy show. So they're going down a manhole looking for Guthrie, NG, National Guard, going down a manhole looking for blood. There's your adrenochrome. Ninth day that we're in, $6 million worth of Bitcoin. All of the very strange things coming from the family. If you think that's strange, ladies and gentlemen, wait until you find out about the Epstein files, because that's going to be your cover story. Is Epstein also going to release, are they reptilians that were part of that movie or that show? There's going to be some form of EBS or distraction. Let's hope it happens sooner rather than later. But I do believe the Epstein files have come around so many times in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
And every time I say we go full circle, it annoys the carp out of me. But I keep thinking, and it's no different to what I just said, Israel is last. Why all of a sudden we're getting news out of Israel and they're talking about their, their crypto forums and their regulatory lobby. What's a lobby? Political lobby. Who's running Israel?
She's making some good points on this one, huh, you guys?
Yeah.
You want to talk about CIA? You want to talk about CIA? Oh, mate, I could do a whole seminar with you two boys on a private show, and we can post it.
Oh, definitely.
We could do that.
These two brains are definitely connected, and there's massive rabbit holes that we've gone into.
Absolutely, I can tell.
You mentioned Bitcoin. I think the U.S. national debt is not 37 trillion. I think it's sitting at 130 trillion of all the money that they printed since 1971. I've been
correct.
saying this for years that they're going to take since 2020. I've been saying they're going to take $130 trillion, put it into Bitcoin, and then crash, and that's how we end up with zero. But I also believe the one second question, I don't want to take away from your other listeners. The other question I was going to ask is the BIS, the Bank of International Settlement. Are they going to stay around, or are they being taken out? Because the BIS is, are they?
Yeah.
Okay,
they're
because
taking
the BIS regulates everything. They regulate the banks, the Federal Reserve, as well as the treasuries, and so they are in control. So if everything is being dismantled, is the BIS getting dismantled? Because they've had their hands in every single thing since their inception, 1933, I think, or 1937.
1937.
1937.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Well, you must have a quantum link to my brain, because I can tell you, I've got someone sitting in front of me right now. You've mentioned 1937, 2020, and I wrote that on a napkin tonight. And I have a feeling I should just go and grab it right now, ladies and gentlemen, and show you. I'll post it to you after the show so you can see what I wrote about Bitcoin in 2020. And that is exactly right. So what happened there is it went to zero. Bitcoin went to zero in 2020. Yeah. So did Ethereum. But they utilize Ethereum because Ethereum has certain utilities on that blockchain that are required for things such as NFTs, art, and things like that as well. Then the Tether went to zero. But here is the interesting fun fact. Yes. And you probably already know this, but just for everyone else to know, and this is great because you guys are backing up everything that I have been talking about for 3 or 4 years. Tether went to USDT. That's your US Treasury note, ladies and gentlemen. Understand, comprehende, s'il vous plaît. There you go. So when all of this was transferred in 2020, it all went on to the Interstellar, and I said Interstellar, blockchain, utilizing, of course, the Stellar bonfire logs. And they used it and yielded it. So when people often ask, where do these funds come from? Well, they yielded Bitcoin. They yielded ETH, and they yield Tether.
Yep.
Exactly. All right. So when people say, where does all this money come from? That's what's paying off all of the infrastructure. So the biz goes away. It's played its role. And if you were to go back into the biz from memory, I haven't done it for a while, boys, but you can certainly go back in there, ladies and gentlemen. If you are still unsure that this is not real, ladies and gentlemen, go back into the biz and actually have a look at what central banks are still listed. Because there's quite a few central banks, including the Central Bank of Iraq, no longer is listed in there.
And Israel.
And Israel. Did you say Israel? Exactly my point. Exactly my point. So you boys know that I'm not bullshitting when I say these things. You've already gone in and looked at them. And this is what I say to people. When you do your own research, because knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen, these two boys from Canada, I can tell you now, 1000%, we're going to be doing a show together at some point very, very soon on YouTube. And we're going to go digest, and I'm going to be promoting you two to do your own shows. I'm telling you now, this is not about me. I'll host you, but you're going to go on to bigger and better things. Just so you know, too, I did speak to an author today. He has written a book on the 90 Miles to Freedom. And also going to be having him at some point as well. I asked him tonight, would he kindly join me in a show and promote his book as well? A very, very interesting story, which I'm looking forward to reading on my road trip to Wisconsin.
That's
A
fantastic.
47-hour train ride from Jacksonville through to Washington, over to Chicago, and up to Wisconsin in 47 hours. So that should be fun. So I'll be good to read the book then.
Thank you so much for your time.
you, Mel. Really
We'll let
appreciate it.
everybody else. I'm sure everybody else has a million questions they want to ask, but thank you so much for taking the time to actually answering.
That's okay. I'm pretty sure I think everyone enjoys having you two boys on as well. So that's quite okay.
Much appreciated.
No worries at all.
Take care, Mel.
Thank you to the beautiful twins. You too.
Bye.
No worries. I tell you what, those two guys are definitely going to go places. That is for sure. So Carrie Emma, it struggles sometimes. Let me have a look, Carrie Emma. There we go. It's going to come up. And Gunnison Dutton as well. There we go. I hope you're all enjoying my conspiracy cup too, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, can you hear me?
Absolutely. Carrie Anna, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for taking my question.
That's right.
And you may have answered this at some point, but if you did, I missed it. It's about wise. It's about wise and holding wise, or Vietnamese dong on wise. Is that still a thing that will RV when that happens, or will you be able to?
They say in their terms and conditions, it's at some points. Okay, so they have upgraded them and they have changed in many different countries. Okay. And there's a lot of ifs and buts, but as long as you are in whichever country you are
31 minutes, you guys.
and utilising
31.
wise. Now, I have people in Australia and New Zealand who said to me, Mel, I think you might like to look at it. And I'm going to take it on the chin because I said no to wise because of the terms and conditions, only because of what they said in their terms and conditions. Now, the guy from New Zealand was sharing with me, as well as some people in Australia, that they actually have seen the Vietnamese dong floating up and down. Does it do a full reevaluation on wise? As I said, just check your terms and conditions. I wouldn't invest everything in there. As I said, we don't know what's going to happen. My thought at one point is that it is a possibility, and I say this, as I said, not for financial advice, but everything is going to be digital. And is it safer than actually holding the physical currencies? But the point is that there's a lot of currencies that aren't on the actual Wise app that are actually going to be either reinstated or have a revaluation, or that, they're going to have some kind of adjustment made in regards to a near or a rear rate. Does that show on the Wise account? Not all of it is going to be on the Wise account, Kerry. So again, hedging with some of it, possibly. As I said, whichever country you're from, please make sure you read the terms and conditions. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Also make sure that the withdrawals on that and how to withdraw if it was to revalue, look at all of those things prior to making a full commitment. Again, not financial advice, but you can certainly consider holding some in there. I wish I could, but they won't let me. I don't know why. Something else to look at, but it is what it is. But Carrie Anna, as I said, it is really a personal choice, a personal discernment. And as I said, people are seeing it fluctuate, but how far does it fluctuate on a full revaluation is anybody's guess. So,
yes, I have read the terms and conditions, and it looks like they left themselves an out, that they will decide, they have the ultimate decision of what they are going to do.
And they do hold a service fee. So understand, this is why I keep saying to people, when you're utilising these currency exchanges, Kerry, like you said, they have an out, and because they're there to make money. So again, it's a catch-22 situation. So, but yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for your opinion there.
That's okay, honey. I hope I haven't upset anyone over that one, but yeah, it's all good. Thank you very much, Kerry Anna. Lovely. And you're an author as well. That's exciting. I've had a few authors tonight. So that's wonderful. Take care, sweethearts.
Thank you. Take care.
No worries at all, darling. Thank you. Gunnison Dutton, just unmute yourself, hon. How are you?
Good. How are you, Mel? I just want to say, number one, you are a world of information, and it's so enjoyable to listen to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My question has to do with Iraq, of course.
Yep.
So from other truther areas, the understanding is that the CBI, the Central Bank of Iraq, is the sole one that has to pull the trigger on the reevaluation. Is that correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah. I mean, in a technical world,
right.
I think they all go at the same time. So
right, in the technical world. But then, so why are we being held up by this whole presidential Sudani Maliki situation, number one? And then I have a second question. And the second question is if they are, in fact, shutting down the merchants and the businesses in Iraq, aren't they forcing them into a full-on financial fall? And wouldn't that push the reevaluation to become stable and to become international and to get in with IMF and to get in to just to get on the board?
Yeah,
right?
to get into the World Trade organizations and things like that as well.
Correct. Yep. So then why are they forcing the situation where they haven't paid the salaries, right? Correct. Yep. Because that's all over the place. And the merchants are shutting down, and then they're being forced to only have to pay. And I get and I understand the whole concept of not using the US dollar because it's forcing the dollar down. But at the same time, it's complete upheaval from all this time that they claim they did all this work. So what's your take on all of that? Because it's just one massive ball of confusion.
And it can be. It truly, truly can be. So I've just written down 5 things that you've mentioned, okay? So the Maliki and the politics is quite irrelevant, to be honest. So what happens is in the political sector, so I'm going to try and do the power of elimination with you because a lot of other people have the same questions, honey. It's like it's so confusing. It really, truly is.
It's so frustrating.
It is. Because then we start to focus on all of this stuff from out of Iraq and going, oh, well, haven't they already done that? And what's going on here? What's doing that? Okay. So let's go to the Maliki, the politics and everything else. It's totally irrelevant. The reason being is that in the onset of this actual reset, think of it logically, all governments disappear. Okay, so the political scenes that we're not only just seeing in Iraq, we're seeing them everywhere, aren't they? All of these, even in Africa. Oh my gosh, if I posted everything about African news, it'll drive you nuts as well. So we're seeing so many of them in the political sector. The reason Iraq was, of course, the main focus is because, as we know, DJT, or the American Federal Reserve and government and the Treasury, purchased a lot of Iraqi dinar, and that's why they focus on it, okay? They say it's the linchpin, but I've often said, watch Kuwait. Kuwaiti dinar was the one that actually last revalued, and it's a dinar, and it's easy to do a peg to that, to strengthen it, because they're virtually paying the Kurdistan region. They're relying on Kuwait as well for their trade and all of that as well. So as for the political side of things, it's just theatre. I just ignore a lot of it. I post it because it's interesting, because people then understand the political upheaval. So in many countries such as Iraq, Iran, even in Africa, Pakistan, they have many what we call tribal conglomerates in the political world. And the same with New Zealand. New Zealand has like 157 tribes in their government. You don't want to go down that track. And that's why I said the other day that New Zealand was one of the most corrupt governments, is because they have all of these tribes. And this is what we're seeing in Iraq, is the Shihis and all that sort of stuff, being involved in the politics, because a lot of that has to go in politics. And I believe the understanding is there will be no direct political parties, even including here in the US. The Democrats and the Republican parties will disappear. There is no politics in a governance. Governance is for the people. And this is what we've all been fighting for. We don't want to have the segregation in here in America between Democrats and Republicans. Oh my gosh, you might as well be at war with just that.
Oh, it's horrible. I know, it's horrible.
It is incredible. And it's like, oh my gosh. So when you see that happening in countries such as Iraq, it's just a political oversight to the actual revaluation of the currencies. So the politics or the political side of it, you can sort of push that aside if you like. The fact that they're talking about the World Trade Organization and the IMF, what I'm actually seeing, and we've never really seen it before until the last 3 to 6 months, and that's why I brought up about the IMF and the World Bank working alongside of BRICS. So when you see them closing out their budgets, and the World Trade Organization is involved in all of that as well, it's just for your understanding to know that these things are being closed off in the old system. So basically what's happening in Iraq is that they're coming up to speed with everything that they haven't done for the last 20 years, so to speak, not 20 years, but for the last few years that they've been at war, they haven't been paying their debts. They haven't been paying their salaries. They haven't been paying their dues to the World Trade Organization to maintain security for their trades in the markets and things like that as well. This all affects their currencies. So the reason we focus now on the World Trade Organization, the IMF and the World Bank in Iraq and other countries, is to finalize all those times, all those years that they didn't get it done. They have to sign off. As DJT always says, this is a business. And to close off that business that was done previously so they can completely collapse the IMF, they can completely collapse the World Bank and the World Trade Organization. For those to collapse, everything has to be signed, sealed and delivered. Does that make a little bit more sense?
It does make a little bit more sense. Now, in
it's
regards
more logical. Yeah.
Right. Now, in regards to the merchants and the shutting down and the contractors not getting paid, and I mean, what is that? Is that going to force the hand a little bit more so to get them revalue? Well, I mean, we know that they revalued, but there's the second set of books, right? So,
yeah,
I mean, is because they've got to be running off of something. I mean, we were waiting for the oil to start. The oil started. Nothing happened, right? So
that's correct. Yep.
Now we're waiting for something else, which they claim is, the president and the prime minister. And we now know that everything is completely done. But by them shutting, the merchants shutting down and is that going to force their hand as to to get the RV done? I mean, there's just so much struggle going on here, and it's all over the world. And this game that's being played right now, the word game, is just terrifying, frustrating, and it's just getting old.
It is getting old, and that's why I don't talk about it. Do you hear me talking about those things? No, I don't.
No,
I don't. So I have always allowed all these other gurus to do their own thing because that's what they do. Okay. I don't get involved in it because I've just given you one logical answer regarding the World Trade Organization, and it's a logical answer. It's not bullshit. It's not theatre. That's the logic. The merchants. Let's have a talk about the merchants. You've got to understand when they're talking about these merchants and things like that as well, they used to be nefarious at times as well.
Okay.
So the reason they're running that theatre is, again, to do with the same with the politics. It's going to show that Maliki was obviously doing some big salary deals.
Right.
The merchants that are closing down, they are closing them down because they can no longer do it because they're not on the blockchain. There's more logic to it than there is actual theatre of the gurus just keep coming out and regurgitating, as you say, keep regurgitating these same stories.
Right.
It's not about, they're just stories, ladies and gentlemen. It's not actually what's going on. What I see when I see merchants are closing down, it's also closing down the black markets and things like that as well. So that's why I don't focus on those. The gurus do. That's right. Okay. They're entitled to do whatever they choose. But you're exactly right in saying, and that's why I do what I do, because it frustrated the carp out of me too. I'm going, this is the same bullshit.
Yeah.
It's as though they don't go into the background. We just had two gentlemen from Canada talking about fundamentals. And boy, do I get excited when I can have that kind of thing backing me up. And they're good-looking guys too, by the way. Just saying, girls. This is what I'm talking about. These are fundamentals. Who cares about the political upheaval in Iraq? Is that going to make any difference? We have political upheaval in Australia. We've got Sydney doing riots in the street right now, like Black Lives Matter bullshit going on or whatever. This is what's going on. But
it's all over the world. It's
absolutely.
It's all over.
Happening.
But we don't hear about those things because, of course, we don't get true news. So we don't understand. Nobody understands.
And this is why we're having this conversation, honey, to give you some logic in the understanding that the whole merchants thing, this is about the corruption in the background and the closing down of all of that. The salaries again is a very interesting one. Again, I think that's the Doge coming into play. I'm going to be quite honest here, yeah? I believe it's the Doge going on. That makes logic sense to me because, they're going to be, how many Mohammed Shihad al-Sadanis do they have? Probably about 5,000 of them. They've got to sort through that to make sure they're not paying 10, 15 Mohammed Shihad al-Sadanis the same salary. So when I look at this, and I only talk about these things in a Q&A because I can't talk about them any other time. But the fact that you brought that up, I was writing that down and going, well, that's the Doge. That's why they struggled to get these salaries out in time. I believe it's the Doge because.
So we got this big one out of the way. I want to play some short ones. And I got the TikTok lady might be having another good one out. That's 15. And then the last one will be Billy, 36 minutes. A lot of intel.
Salaries out in time. I believe it's the Doge. Because how else is Iraq getting the funding to do the projects and the development roads? It's all because of this corruption. The merchants, you want to talk about the merchants? The trading. I think I posted one about the ports the other day and how much money they've actually made out of the ports.
A lot.
The ports were exactly, but that money is going back into the development, and this is what the gurus don't tell you about.
Yeah.
They just go on about the hoo-ha that they can see on the news because they don't go into anything else.
Right.
But that tells me that the ports are now making money. Before it was just cash under the table, and this is where the cash is king thing is bullshit. Because cash was not king. Cash was corruption in countries such as Iraq.
Right.
This is how they used to smuggle things in. But going on a blockchain has eliminated that corruption, and that's why these merchants are struggling to get through, is because they are being exposed. And that, to me, is my logic answer, honey, is that's what's going on there. So hopefully that helps anyway. As I said, it makes logical sense.
It does, because it clears the air in regards to what's theater and what's not theater, and that we know that the oil is flowing, and we know that the oil is making them major amounts of money.
Absolutely.
So you know, we know that it's there, but we just don't really no really understanding of a concept of as to why it's taking so long.
Oh yeah, and it's the same things that are happening in Vietnam. They're talking about their wages and lunar year bonuses.
Yeah.
Now,
Vietnam is another confusing one. 1 minute they're ready to go. Next minute, you know, they pull back.
That's what they tell you. This is the problem, honey. That's what the gurus are telling you.
Yeah.
But I look at this in the logistics and saying, I've never seen articles before come out about Vietnam and their wages and the lunar year bonuses. I've never seen that before.
Yep.
So this is why I'm saying, now that it comes in public, now we're starting to see the wheels are actually turning. So I'm darn excited about all of that. So, but yeah, so.
Well, I'm definitely going to listen to the rest of like what you say in logistics wise, because it's just too frustrating out there now. It's just frustrating. So, but I thank you, and you're amazing, and thank you, Mel, for no bullshit.
That's me. So even and those who met me today, they said, "Oh, you look exactly like you are on the show, Mel." I said, "What you see is what you get, ladies and gentlemen." So it is what it is. So, but looking forward to that. So
I know I do appreciate you, and thank you for taking my questions.
My pleasure. So L17, I believe I'm going to get the chance to say hello to you, and we'll finish the show with JR. We haven't spoken to JR for a while, but L17, how are you, honey?
I'm great. I was going to save my questions for tomorrow when I see you, but you brought up something that I thought needed to be answered. So you said we're going to see that the people that we thought were good are bad, and that the bad were good. Okay, so is this to destroy this worship of people that we seem to have to everyone else to solve our problems? And then please don't tell me that Hillary is going to be good.
No, not all of them are good. I did make sure that I didn't say all of them were not good. No, look, there is a lot that were still bad. What I'm saying is the theatre that we're seeing over the Epstein things and what have you. There's a couple of interesting videos. You may have already seen them, L17, and I'm looking forward to having lunch with you tomorrow and talking about this a lot more in depth, because there was a video that came out, and you know, Jeffrey was doing a video and he was going through the process of you know, the Clintons and other different things, and I looked at it and went, that's one I'm going to save and go through again, because as I said, it is certainly looking very, very interesting. As I've mentioned to the boys as well, is he part of the Bitcoin story? Is he behind the theatre to do with the Guthrie abduction and ransom and all that sort of stuff? As I said, this movie is very, very crazy. So just hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen, because you just never know what's going to come out of it. So, but no, Hillary and all of them, I'm pretty sure were really, really bad. But I think there's a few of them that have been on the market, as I said, about Epstein and a few others. I think we have double agents as well. So, yeah, so looking forward to I just want it to end. I just want this movie to end so that we can find out who's who in the house, that's for sure. But yeah, so, but looking forward to that. So, but L17, I'm looking forward to spending some time with you and quite a few. I think we've got a table full tomorrow in beautiful Sarasota, and looking forward to that, that's for sure. So, but JR, you're in the house. I haven't said hello to you for some time, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, ma'am. I just thought to pop in and when I have a chance, when I catch you online. But yeah, no, I heard somebody speaking about the Wise app, and I think I was kind of the one that really started that huge narrative back probably about 2 years ago regarding about and with the Wise app. I mean, I found out about it probably 6-8 months prior when I started doing some deep diving on it to understand the dynamics of it all. Like I went as far as finding where the Wise app, the actual application, was designed out of Vancouver, BC, Canada, and then the global headquarters is out of London, and the North American division is out of New York. And I've
It's
had
not
other
corrupt,
people.
is it? That's
No,
not corrupt.
but like I said, I've done some deep diving on it, and a lot of other people that have been involved with it too have done deep diving on it, and it is legitimate in the aspects where the rules have been changing probably every 3 to 6 months. They're making the withdrawals and payments and stuff like that. They're like, I think now it's like $100,000 per month you can do your like on your debit card, and for wire transfers, they went from being X amount of dollars up to now I think it's like $2 to $5 million. So they're doing the transition where they're seeing that there's a potential revaluation of currencies. Even the IQD, like when you do your app update on your device, and you'll find that I had when I did the update, the IQD popped up, and then went to kind of look at it. Should I buy something? Should I not? And then I went to go back into the app, and it was gone. I'm like, damn it! It was there, but it disappeared because they're updating all the other currencies that are potentially going to be dropped out into the actual public forex, and they've been like slowly doing these things behind the ground. And when it comes to the application not working in certain countries or different states, where I knew quite a few people that wanted to install it on their devices in Las Vegas, and it was restricted, but then they found a workaround. And then there's other people that's the same thing too, like different countries. Like I know a bunch of people in New Zealand, they have no problem using it. And then of course we've been hearing. So each state, province, country, I mean, the rules and regulations, it's all governed by the governments and the politicians, and how this app works. And I know it was probably barely a year ago, the Wise app that were inquired about having an actual legitimate bank in the United States as well. So they're in a really good process of what's going to happen. Let alone I know people that have been using it for almost 7 to about 9 years. Like they do all their business, moving their money from into the United States, overseas. I had one gentleman I talked to. He said a guy bought his actual boat through the Wise app, and he paid I think it was like over $1 million to buy in the boat, and he saved himself almost like $60,000 or $80,000 in fees, what would cost to go through the bank and their exchange rate. They did through the Wise app, and they did the wire transfer through the Wise app. I've only heard once somebody having an issue where they live in Canada, but they were doing business in Vietnam, so they were doing a lot of large payments of paying the staff through the Wise app. And the guy was saving like $5 to $10 grand a month in the actual exchange rate.
Wow.
Going from paying as this. And what happens, because there's a way when you set up the app, it's either personal use or business use. And he set it up as a personal use. And because he has so much money going through constantly paying out so many people, that it ended up creating where they restricted them because they thought it was something nefarious. Just like any bank would do the same thing. But it's legit. It's legit as much as I've seen. But I always tell people, the way you look at it is just another way. If you want to, I'd only tell people to put $30 to $50. The Vietnamese dong, I feel, it's got the best return for value of money put in. So if it hits par dollar for dollar, and you put $30 in, you're looking USD. It's like 25 to 26,000 Vietnamese dong for one USD. So it's just a simple way of having something that'll revalue for, because some people don't know, they're too stressed or too worried about getting into the currency thing. But this is just a really easy, simple way, making a small investment even if you're in the currency, that you can once the forex flips on the IQD, it triggers all these other currencies. It'll show up in the forex, and that should trigger on the Wise, that you'll have spendable cash on that day. So then if it takes you 2 to 5 days to get into the actual into the redemption centers or into the banks to exchange your currency, at least you have spending money to pay for a cab, pay for a hotel, and kind of be able to travel money, whatever you need. It's like instant money in your hands to kind of do what you need to do without stressing, because everybody's kind of worried like they don't have the money, they're living in cars, they're living on the street, they're living like this, where it's just an easy way to have money in your pocket and spendable money. And I don't know, I've looked at it enough. I've had enough other people who've looked at it. I know enough people. I know a ton of people that are using it. So I don't see that being that of a high risk, especially when you only put like 30 to 50 bucks. That's so you don't risk. That's my thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. And truly appreciate that, because as I said, it's been hitting a nerve on and off for a long time with some people, but I know the guys in New Zealand, and as I said, ladies and gentlemen, there is people in Australia who have just watched their little investment going up and down, and more ups and downs in that Wise account as well. So as I said, just make sure that in whichever country you're in, that you do know the terms and conditions. And thank you again, JR, for your insight. It is always very well respected, and absolutely awesome. Well, ladies,
I always
and
love to
gentlemen,
help you.
Oh, honey, I'm telling you, as I said, been doing it. It's been very interesting times doing travels on trains and buses. And a lot of people said, "Oh, why aren't you flying?" And I said, "Because I just can't fly. It's just too expensive." It is as expensive to fly in the United States as it is in Australia to go from coast to coast. It's pretty full on. So, but enjoying this journey, and this is what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen, is the journey, and to meet people and greet people and have people like JR and the boys, of course, from Canada, MC and AC, joining us tonight to make this just one humdinger of a show. Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. That was yesterday, I think, last night, the latest on Mel. So we'll do some short videos. Like I said, we'll finish off with Billy Bean. I don't know how much longer. See how things go.
This issue is, first of all, great job by the FBI not taking for granted that this video was not taken that night and working with that company to get this image. Number two, this person is a dangerous individual. This person, by the virtue of how he's dressed, the gun, the gloves, how methodical he is, this is a dangerous person, okay? Is this a burglary turned to a kidnapping, or is this just straight kidnapping? Nevertheless, you got a starting point. You have clothes, sneakers, backpack. You have a lot to work with here. This is obviously a huge development. And now it expands out. You got to check all the stores in the area, the cars. Now you have something really palpable to very probative to work with. It's a great job by the FBI in this.
It is. And, now that they have accessed these and releasing them, there's a $50,000 reward. First, there were the pictures that we just had and then the video. When he turns around, that backpack is stuffed to the gills, John. I mean, there's an 84-year-old woman there. What do you think that could possibly, what's in there? What do you think the planning, does that speak to anything from you as an investigator into how prepared this person was?
That speaks to the tools of his trade. What he needed, what he thought he might need in conjunction with this crime. Absolutely. and he's got a gun in his waistband. Very dangerous. But what really concerns me is how calm, cool, and collective he is, how methodical he is. Very slow, he doesn't seem rushed. He seems very confident what he's about to do. But again, now you can really build out the investigation.
I mean, the area is pretty remote. It's, there is proximity to the border. There were reports of a white van. I mean, they have been working every single lead, John. It is the 10th day. What do you make of Savannah's comments moments after this, sharing it, saying, we believe she is still alive? Do you think that they have been told something, perhaps? The hope that they have, obviously, most of America has that same hope for them as well. But that signals somewhat of a change from maybe desperate to ransoms, to, deadlines passing, to now this.
Well, from a human point of view, they hope their mom, their grandmama is alive. They're going to say that. In terms of what they know, or maybe what the FBI might have told them, and hate to speculate on this, they're going to keep that very close to the vest. Very close to the vest. They're being hopeful. Now they're speaking to someone. They're speaking to this person right here, who obviously looks like a man. They're speaking to this man right here. They're speaking to the kidnapper right now. That's what they're doing.
So we talk a lot in these, situations that they will put together, and they're very good at this, the digital footprint. The cell phones, everything that went on, you have now a time frame as well, because if you're looking at images and video, you have a timestamp connected to this, John. How critical is that to narrow in, to focus in on what the investigators do and what they know how to do best?
It's so crucial. They have a pinpoint time right now. They don't have an 8-hour block, a 12-hour block. They're pinpoint. Was this person in the store, Louis Mangione, was he buying a cup of coffee down the road before this act? What kind of sneakers, that jacket, that bag? They're going to have to vet all this out. The dumping of the cell towers is very voluminous, a lot of search warrants. Now they got a pinpoint time. I'm sure he had a phone on him. I'm sure he did. So that phone is in that network somewhere. That phone is in a tower close by. That takes a little time, but they have just, again, obviously a tremendous lead and break in this case.
You described just moments ago that this is a very dangerous individual. Would you also say it is somebody who knew that there would be a camera? I don't see any car on the street there. Talk to about, some of the other pieces of all this, because he's at the house. Obviously, she's not in the house. She's taken out some way, shape, or form. But where did he put her after that? How did he get away? Was there somebody else on the street down the road? I mean, these are unanswered questions. But what would your expertise tell you?
Well, I don't think he cared there was a camera there. I think he's so confident in what he's doing and how he's dressed that it doesn't matter to him. If he really knew there was a camera there, he wouldn't have to go grab that bushel of flowers to manipulate blocking it. But I don't think he cared. He's very confident. Gloves, mask, tucked in. He's really tight, methodical. He's got the gun. He's confident in what he's doing. Just a little obstacle he had to deal with.
Okay, that's the first video that came out. Fox has been leaving it on forever here. So let me know about this next one. 5 minutes, you guys, if I should play it or not.
Laptop had kill switches in it. It was filled with crap that wasn't supposed to be there. We never get to see it. Supposedly 9 cops watched the videos on Weiner's laptop. They had to keep leaving the room because they couldn't stand what they were seeing. And all 9 are now dead. And there's names and faces and deadness, right? They're real people.
Okay,
now you can say, well, maybe they died for other reasons. I go, but it's still 9 cops. It's like the 5 cops who died after January 6th, right? 4 of them were suicides. According to AI, there were about 80 cops really in the thick of things. 4 of them died from suicide.
The Clintons, Hillary's emails, and the Weiner laptop as ultimate life insurance. The deepest darkness is finally coming to light. Patriots, hold on to your seats because the nuclear payload just detonated. Anthony Weiner's laptop wasn't just some pervert's hard drive. It was the life insurance policy that kept the entire Clinton crime syndicate untouchable for decades. That infamous folder labeled life insurance, it contained the real dirt, thousands upon thousands of emails, videos, and files that
Carol,
exposed
what
the
do you
full
think?
scope
Okay.
of the Clinton Foundation's pay-to-play empire. Child trafficking networks, satanic rituals, and the blood-soaked secrets tying straight to Epstein's Island and the global elite pedophile ring. Back in 2016, when the New York Police Department seized Weiner's devices during his underage sexting probe, they didn't just find Uma Abedin's emails to Hillary. They uncovered a digital vault of horrors. We're talking about classified documents, deleted server backups, evidence of adrenochrome harvesting, ritual abuse footage, and direct links to the Pizzagate nightmare that the fake news buried. The New York Police Department chiefs anonymously screamed that if the FBI and the DOJ didn't act fast on the indictments, they would go public with everything. Comey reopened the email case right before the election to try and contain the blast, but it was too late. The damage was done. Fast forward to now, 2026, the White Hats have full control. Military intelligence has mirrored every byte from that laptop, cross-referenced it with Epstein's Black Book, Ghislaine's flight logs, and the rescued victims' testimonies from underground facilities. The life insurance wasn't protecting Weiner. It was blackmail insurance for the Clintons to keep their puppets in line. Bill and Hillary thought they could murder witnesses, bleach servers, and hammer devices to cover their tracks. But God had other plans. The storm is raging right now. We're talking treason, crimes against humanity, child endangerment on a massive scale, stuff that makes Watergate look like a parking ticket. The laptop held proof of payoffs to silence victims, rigged elections, bioweapon funding through the foundation, and yes, the snuff-level depravity that Q warned us about all those years ago. They laughed when we said, trust the plan, mocked when we dropped, these people are sick. But the laptop never lied. It's the smoking gun that ties the whole cabal together. Clintons, Obamas, Bushes, Soros puppets, all terrified now because the veil is torn. No more running, no more fake suicides, no more 2 bullets to the back of the head cover stories. We have it all. We caught them all, and nothing can stop what is coming, and it's happening right now.
Yeah, good one there. Yep, Carol. That's what one lady said before. Yep. Another important. See what we got next. Five minutes.
Attacks on ICE agent. The senior correspondent, Steve Harrigan, live in Minneapolis with the latest from there. Steve.
Kevin, that protest out in front of the federal building in Minneapolis turned violent after protesters were told to disperse. At least 42 people were arrested when they were told they had to break it up. Many began throwing bottles and ice at the federal agents. At least 1 agent wounded, 1 patrol car smashed up, 1 protester arrested for assault. In the meantime here, these daily protests are really taking a toll on the local economy, especially small businesses and having a hard time. Local entrepreneurs trying to encourage people to buy local, many saying that this is worse for businesses than even COVID was.
My co-founder and I stopped by a restaurant on our street and ended up filling to-go orders for them because more than 50% of his staff is gone. Afraid to come to work for fear of being taken by ICE, even as U.S. citizens, even with work permits, even with the right paperwork. We've lived through this before during COVID in 2020 following the murder of George Floyd, and we're living through it again, and this time it's worse.
700 ICE agents were pulled out on Wednesday. That still leaves 2,000 here. So far, no public timeline on when they will be leaving. Kevin, back to you.
Stay warm or do the best you can. Steve.
Okay, ladies on that. Okay, the Walmart lady, and then we'll finish off with Billy Bean. This one's about 15, 20 minutes, I think.
You have a way of reweighing this. No, you can't reweigh it.
Did he just say that Walmart employees don't have a scale in the meat department?
There's no scales in the back for weighing. Do you remember that?
Is he going back there? He's going back there. All right, you guys, we need to talk about Walmart again, because somehow, even after lawsuits, after settlements, after paying out millions of dollars to customers that were wronged, we are right back here again. Imagine picking up a package of food that says that it weighs 4 pounds. You do the math, you pay the price, you trust the label, because why wouldn't you? And then you put it on a scale, and surprise, surprise, it doesn't weigh 4 pounds like the package says it does. The weight isn't even close. And then you realize that you really did overpay by weight, quietly, invisibly, and who knows how.
Hey, Paul, I decided to come on again. Like I always change my mind, play it by ear each day. But we just got done doing Mel was an hour and did a few others. And then we just started this one again with her. Then the last one will be Billy is 36 minutes. Then I'll be back at 7 tonight. And tomorrow, I got a busy shopping day tomorrow, so.
Often, repeatedly. Now, TikTok is blowing this wide open again. It started out a couple of years ago with chicken. Now we're seeing grossly underweight ham, bags of cheese puffs, and even cans of tomato sauce. Item after item is coming up short, while customers just keep getting charged like nothing is wrong. And the wildest part, this is not just a rumor. This isn't just a misunderstanding. Walmart has already been sued for this exact same thing before. So the question isn't, is this really happening? The real question is, why are customers being expected to trust labels that don't match reality again? So this is Jimmy Rigg. I will make sure to link his TikTok below. A lot of people have been posting videos over the course of the last few years on TikTok about the pricing deception with the weights on pre-weighed packages that you would find at Walmart. But Jimmy has taken this to the next level, and we're going to look at how he is helping this to escalate and hopefully result in Walmart seeing some sort of repercussions for this again. This video here was posted the second half of January of 2026, so these are not old videos. It's happening right now.
All right, back at Walmart again. This is my 4th trip to Walmart. I'm at one of the same ones I was at before. I'm going to keep it in real time. We're going to look.
Are you listening?
Look.
Almost 5 pounds?
I'll tell you right now, that's not 24. That's not 4.94 pounds. See how easy it is? So this is the second time with Kentucky Legend. This is the same Walmart that I found the other Kentucky Legend in for $25. That's how look at this one. There's another one. There's another one. There's two. Because I mean, it's that easy. I know that doesn't weigh that. I found two. I found two in 20 seconds. Do you think that one weighs 5.4? So that's 3 in 30 seconds. Let's take it to the produce scale and weigh it. Let's see what they weigh. This is crazy. This is insane. All right. First, let's see if the scale is correct. There's a 2-pound weight from Sporting Goods.
That's smart. Make sure that the
Scale's
scale is
over by
actually accurate.
0.02. All right, let's weigh these one by one.
Okay. 4.93 pounds.
1.83. It says.
Wow.
Holy crap. That is like mind blowing. Barely over a third. It doesn't even weigh 2 pounds.
News Force had this on their channel too, so we're going to learn a lot about this on this one today. I'll be back with short videos tonight at 7 tonight. Fine Eagle.
And according to the label, it's supposed to weigh almost 5 pounds. It doesn't even weigh 2 pounds.
4.93. What's this one saying? 5.41. 2.32. 4.54. Come on now. Another one.
Yay.
4.93. 1.83.
Those are horrible. They're
Another
so
one.
off.
5.62. 2.53.
Oh my God.
4.80. 1.71.
Oh my God. It's bad.
5.1. 5.51. 2.41. Somebody do the math on some of these. Put it in the chat.
You're paying over double. It's over double. If it's supposed to be, the package says $24 for that ham, it's supposed to be more like $10 or $11 for that ham. Insane.
Another one. 5.62. 2.53. 4.80. 1.71. 5.1. 5.51. 2.41. I think I have enough. It's time to go see management. Let's see.
Oh, yeah. And then he decides to go talk to management. We're going to get to that. But he does also respond to a comment of somebody saying, I don't understand what the big deal about this is. Why are you making a stink about this? And I can't believe that there is anybody that doesn't see something wrong with this.
Sure of my point? You're not sure of my point? Of my videos in Walmart? Of me being double the price on the label? Are you serious? Because it's packaged somewhere else and brought here? My point is, one, Walmart is responsible for anything that's on its shelves, whether it's labeled properly or not. And number two, they're also responsible for profiting off of it. That means this package at other facilities, at the purveyors, they pay for it by weight, by case, or by pallet. So the label with the 5-pound ham that's actually $2, they pay cost for $2 on that, and it goes onto their shelf, and they profit from that when somebody accidentally buys it or doesn't have the due diligence to check.
Yeah, so let's do some mental math, right? So let's just say that one of these hams weighs 2 pounds. And the price that Walmart is supposed to pay is $5 per pound. That means that Walmart is paying $10 for that ham. But then the incorrect weight is put on the label, let's say 5 pounds, and they are doing their markup. Obviously, Walmart is not going to charge people what they paid, their cost for the ham. Let's say that they're going to charge their customers $11 per pound for the ham, or the piece of meat, whatever. They're gonna mark it up by over double, but they're getting even more than that because the weight that's printed on the label, the calculation that calculates the price of that piece of meat is also more. So if Walmart has an item that has 5 pounds on the label times $11, they're going to charge you $55 for a piece of meat that they paid $10 cost for. Do you see how this is a big deal and how Walmart is basically double dipping on profits by deceiving their customers? How does anybody not see a problem with this? This is why Walmart has been sued before, and they settled out of court because they knew that they fucked up. Walmart knew that this was wrong. They knew that they were responsible, and so they settled out of court. But guess what? A $45 million or a $55 million fine and funds to be paid to their customers that were harmed due to their deceptive, misleading weights, that's a drop in the bucket to them. It wasn't enough to get them to stop. It's still happening. And I'm sure some of you might be thinking the point, well, if this is happening, how can I fight back? What can I do? Well, first of all, you can utilize the scales that you can find. Now, they don't keep scales in the meat department for obvious reasons, but if you can find a scale, you can double check and make sure that you're being charged appropriately for one and that you're not getting screwed over. Your eyes can be open to this so that you can do whatever you can do to protect yourself and not overpay. The second thing you can do is if you do find a weight discrepancy, cause a stink at your Walmart. Let them know that people are noticing and maybe, just maybe, some sort of change will happen. Maybe more attorney generals will be contacted because this is wrong. This is a major corporation taking advantage of their customers and profiting big time off of it. So now that Jimmy went to 5 different stores and found multiple discrepancies, he is deciding to talk to management. So let's see what management has to say about this.
How you doing? All right. So I was going through to buy a ham, and I picked one of these hams up here, and I looked at it. I was like, whoa, $24.60. And I looked at the poundage, right? So I took it over to your produce scale. It's over double the pounds. And then we just waited over there on the, she waited on the scale. All these hams are over double at $25. And what tipped me off is I came in the other day and got one, but I just put it back. I'm worried about other people. Like, how does that happen?
And this, we don't even weigh anything.
So, the manufacturer weighs it.
Yeah. Even our hamburger and all that.
Is somebody supposed to, like, put an eye on this to make sure it doesn't go out or what? I mean, I found those in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, Walmart just had a class action lawsuit for $48 million over this stuff, didn't they? Last year?
I haven't heard anything about it.
Bullshit.
Oh, no.
Bullshit.
I mean, I stopped after this many. So, I mean, I weighed them on your scale. She weighed them up here. So, like, what do you do at this point?
You said we don't even have a way of reweighing this stuff.
No, you can't reweigh it?
No. So, I mean,
You don't have a scale?
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Did he seriously just say that they don't have a scale? Did he just say that Walmart employees don't have a scale in the meat department? Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Donating to the food bank.
Oh, you donate? Well, that's a good thing. Yeah. But what
it won't go away.
What procedures do you guys have in place here to make sure that this doesn't happen
I'm
again?
gonna send it up to our home office.
Okay.
So they can contact
Like,
whoever.
do you have training procedures for people who put meat out? Like, do they look at the prices like I just did and say, wow? I mean, that throws you off.
Obviously, we don't. But,
Yeah. I mean, what is it, Kentucky Legend? Yeah, they got something to do. They got some work to do there.
Yeah.
Because this is just one Walmart. This is 30 seconds I found that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, millions of people, millions of people shop at Walmart. Walmart makes $2 billion. Like, if those went out,
we probably pay.
You pay the real weight.
Them.
Yeah, but Walmart paid the real weight price because they pay by the case weight or the case pallet, not by the label.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know how they.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they.
This manager is in no way equipped to handle somebody that has any sort of knowledge about this kind of thing. And I bet he is shitting his pants right now. Look at that face. Look at that face. That looks like the face of someone who is dropping a couple of browns in their britches. You get what I'm saying?
They'll weigh the case, and whatever the case weighs, despite what the labels say. So if those all went out the door, Walmart would have profited like a few $100s just off those 6 hams, or 7, 8, whatever I have there, right?
Yeah, sorry about that.
All right. Well,
There you go. Hey guys, I'm here at Walmart again. This time I'm here for a different reason. This time I'm here because I'm very curious about the scale thing. In that video I made with the food coach, when I showed him all the hams that were almost double or more than double the weight, he told me that they didn't even have scales.
Jimmy is so relentless about this, and I absolutely love it. I will absolutely link him down below if you want to go support him and follow along and see what he's able to accomplish with this mission that he is on about this.
So Walmart, in the video that I made, Walmart said they don't have a scale. There was no scales in the back for weighing. Do you remember that?
Is he going back there? Oh, he's going back there.
Taking the time to savor Thomas's crunchy yet soft bagels.
Thanks, Tom.
This
It's,
is a
Tom,
real
Right, Tom.
important video.
There's a scale right there. So they're lying.
Yeah.
What do?
Yep.
They lie. Instead of training people with proper procedures, proper policies, and train their managers to do the right thing, they train them to lie, blame shift, and deceive.
Yep. You can only use that excuse so far where you're like, well, we don't package the meats. We don't do that here, but you're still responsible for what you're selling your customers. There still needs to be checks and balances. This is illegal and they are going to get sued again. You watch. So before this lawsuit that happened with Walmart where they settled out of court for the $45 million, the catalyst for that lawsuit was chicken. So we saw Jimmy find a lot of ham that was all, deceptively priced due to inaccurate weights on the label. But surely they fixed the chicken problem, right? Surely they fixed the chicken problem because that was the catalyst for their last lawsuit. The chicken's okay, right? Like they fixed that.
Walmart. That don't weigh no 4.66 pounds. We'll use the scale.
4.66? No.
2.37 pounds.
Half
They're
the
ripping
weight.
people straight, ripping people off. I'm going through every single one of these. Fucking scammer.
Wow.
Well, unfortunately, they didn't fix the chicken. The chicken is still a problem. Go figure. Who would have seen that coming? But you guys, now we're getting to the scary stuff because it's not just limited to the meat department. It's not just limited to the meat department. Check this out.
Okay, this is a
All
pro
right,
video
let's check it
here.
out. Cheese puffs. We got 2 bags.
And again, before he puts these on the scale, I
Cage
want to point out
wrestling.
this Rai posted this on January 22nd of this year. This is not an old video. This is around literally the exact same period where Jimmy was finding all of the discrepancies in the meat.
This one says 13.5, 0.4.
So now the weight is doing by pound. It's ounces on the bag. So if we're looking at it by ounces, 1 pound is 16 ounces. That bag of cheese puffs is supposed to weigh 13.5 ounces, which is a difference of 2.5 ounces. Just to do easy math, 1/2 pound would be 8 ounces, right?
13.5.
That bag weighs 0.4 pounds, less than 1/2 pound. That would be equivalent to around 6.5 or 7 ounces. The difference between 16 ounces and what's supposed to be in that bag is only 2.5 ounces. That's not even 1/4 pound. That is less than 1/4 pound. So even 0.75 pounds on the scale is being generous. At least 0.75 is what we're looking for to even come close to what this bag is supposed to weigh. Let's see what happens with the other one.
0.4. Still sealed in the Walmart. This one, 0.989.
So that one is probably accurate. Why is the other one less than half of that one? They're the exact same bag, the exact same size. Neither one of them is open. Why is one shorted? Why is one shorted? And unfortunately, it's also happening with canned goods.
Happened. I bought 2 cans of tomatoes, and when I picked them up, they felt super light. And I thought, ooh, I've been working out. I must be stronger. That's why they feel lighter. No, they're really lighter. Put them on the scales just to see. Sure enough, look, they're supposed to be 700.
They're supposed to be 700 and something grams, 444 grams. And that's including the tin. And this was posted 5 days ago from when I'm filming this video. And this is Walmart's Great Value brand canned tomatoes.
And something grams, and they weigh like 400 and something grams. They're not open. I'm not sure if I should open them. Kind of want to see what's inside of them. But definitely not what they're supposed to be. Just wondered if anyone else has had this happen. Let me know.
And for anyone who would try to argue that those tomatoes are supposed to be grams by volume or something, no. There's no misconception here. It's literally net weight by weight. So there is no reason why these cans of tomatoes should be nearly half of what they're supposed to be. They're barely over half of what they're supposed to be by weight. So it's not just the meat department. It's literally everything. So let me know what you guys think. Have you found?
I don't know, you guys. I know I learned something today by watching that big video. I'm going to be watching my groceries from now on. I think I'm going to use the scale for the items. I cannot believe that. Yep, that was off News Force, so I figured that was a big video. So JJ, we did mail, came out last night. I wasn't going to come on, but tomorrow will be late tomorrow, shopping day tomorrow. So our last one's going to be, I want to get Billy out of the way. It's 36 minutes.
In Texas about 1 p.m. Some of the things we'll cover today. CEOs are selling their own stock. And Epstein, a new layer. And Iran, one of their first hits, we're hearing, will not be the U.S., but the UAE. And Russia is sending troops. China has a shrinking population. China, we'll get to that. So let's get started. Today on the space weather, the sun continues to be quiet. Sunspot 4366 continues to turn away from the Earth. And we have this from Dr. Makasala about the ETs and disclosure. Now, he's bringing up that there's a space ark underneath Greenland. And I put this information out, 1 to 2 years ago about locations of various space arks. What's a space ark? A space ark appears to be a UFO spacecraft, and that's many of them are loaded with different types of information and technology. And they are buried deep around the Earth in various levels. There's one in Romania. I think the Busaci Mountains, that one has technology in it. We know that one is located in Ukraine, in the southern part of Ukraine, adjacent to the Black Sea. I'm not sure what that one contains. Other space arks contain like histories of the galaxy and Earth. Another would have botany, plants and seeds. Another one would have genetics, information, biology, and so on. So who buried these deep space arks all over the Earth, and what's the purpose? So we've heard many theories. It's believed, and it's logical to me, that this came from ETs off of the Earth, who came to the Earth tens of hundreds of millions years ago, and buried these space arcs on the Earth. The purpose is not clearly understood, but it is known, certainly by the U.S. government and the U.S. military and other world governments, and absolutely by the deep state. We know the deep state, their bloodline goes back to the fallen angels who mated with humans and made the Nephilim. Okay. There are these space arcs buried all over the Earth. Now, Dr. Makasala brings out this information that one is buried under Greenland. I wouldn't doubt that at all. And he brings out information that President Trump could be the U.S. president to bring about disclosure. Well, I would say if at least 80% of Americans do believe there are ETs, and certainly Christians have a firm grasp on the origin of ETs, fallen angels, mated with humans, Nephilim. Yeah, I would say it's about time. Now, it's been my position, and I continue. The government, the U.S. government, other governments, militaries only share new information with we the people when they can no longer hide it. And the reason is they can no longer hide it is because of changes taking place in space, impacting the Earth, and so on. So yeah, I believe a possible date being given for President Trump to release the ET information is July 8th. So we will see. Now we have more fallout from Epstein's files. We understand in the UK, I had put out, with my source being 2CTV last weekend, that in the UK, Keir Starmer, he's the prime minister, and his aide, McSweeney, had resigned. Well, come Monday, politicians, I guess, had been talking about this. It comes out, yes, McSweeney has resigned. And Keir Starmer appears on the brink of doing the same. He's still hanging on with his fingernails. And this is directly related to information coming out of Epstein, sticking to a U.S. ambassador from the UK, Mandelson, who Keir Starmer appointed on the advice of McSweeney. And McSweeney, in his resignation letter that was made public, was detailed that he had nothing to do with the appointment of Mandelson. That was all Keir Starmer. He simply gave advice. So yeah, that's going on. But we have this also coming out from Alex Cristoforo, further fallout from the Epstein files. An issue raised by Thomas Massey, a U.S. House Representative, Republican from Kentucky, who was on a committee investigating Epstein's. And it comes out that there is a room in the DOJ now where members of Congress can go and look on computers and see unredacted Epstein files. And it's coming out that there was a torture video of a child, and that there are associated with this torture video of a child, 6 to 10 co-conspirators, possibly involving a member of a Middle East dynasty. But those have been redacted. So members of Congress are going to look at the names. And members of Congress believe, and I believe rightfully so, We know, and that recent Epstein dropped 3 million pages, that many of the co-conspirators' names have been redacted, while the drop displayed the names of the victims, which was directly against what the guidelines Congress gave to the DOJ. So that's going on. So we can expect, I believe, more truth regarding co-conspirators coming out in the near future. And we have this from Dr. Makasala. 2026 is the year of disclosure, ETs, UFOs, designed to take down the New World Order. And I believe the New World Order is headed up by the fallen angels and their offspring, Nephilim. And we also had, talking about space, we had the Artemis 2 rocket in Florida that's being put forth by SpaceX to go to the moon, and its launch has been delayed. They did a test and they had some leaks, and so they're repairing those. Then they have to do another test to be sure the repairs have been done. And we have big U.S. companies, Boeing, Lockheed, involved in future U.S. space trips and rockets and so on. And we had Elon Musk coming out and saying SpaceX in the past, near past, has been talking about going to the moon and Mars. Now, Elon Musk says Mars is on the back burner. They're going to concentrate on the moon. Okay. And the plan by Boeing and Lockheed, according to Dr. Makasala's sources, is for Boeing and Lockheed to build thousands of starships, anti-gravity ships. Yeah, like we've been hearing that the U.S. military and its contractors had reverse engineered anti-gravity ships going all the way back to Roswell. Well, now apparently they're coming out with it. I once again say they're coming out with it because they can no longer hide it. So that's going on. We have this from Real Raw News. Okay. What we're seeing with President Trump, Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, I believe is all part of a master plan by God, the American people, and a group called Earth Alliance, or some call them White Hats, made up of many government and military leaders globally who have joined together to take down the New World Order, the deep space. So what we have the U.S., and we know we have Venezuela, we have Cuba, who has no jet fuel, Cuba, who's been cut off from oil from Venezuela, as has China. And we see China, I believe, disintegrating before our very eyes. So now, the Venezuela oil has been cut off to Cuba and to China. Also, this is impacting Iran. And we know that the U.S. is setting up militarily to be assisted by Israel in a strike on Iran, most probably to bring about regime change in Iran. Now we have this coming out. So President Trump and the great U.S. military special forces, I believe the greatest military in the history of the world, we know took out Maduro. President Trump elevated then Maduro's second, Delcy Rodriguez. Now, what is Delcy doing? Delcy's trying to talk out of both sides of her mouth, I believe. Delcy doesn't want to be extracted like Maduro was. On the other hand, she's shoulder deep in controlling cartels and receiving money from and control from the cartel. So President Trump, put her in place. And part of the President Trump's demands to Delcy, let out of jail political prisoners. Well, Delcy, since Maduro's been taken out, she's been dragging her feet on letting out the political prisoners. So, she would let out maybe 10, 15, or 20 every few weeks when she has thousands locked up. So recently, one of the people she let out of jail, a political prisoner, was her political opponent. And he was out for a few hours, and then Delcy had him rearrested and put back in jail. Delcy Rodriguez, a chip off of the block. Maduro being the block. So that's going on. Delcy, I don't think it's a good practice to directly come against President Trump. So we have this. What's been found in California? 107 surrogate clinics owned and operated by the CCP. And that was to implant in American mothers' wombs the fetus of a Chinese person. And then they give birth, and the person has U.S. citizenship. So President Trump, I think it would be good to, since surrogate clinics have zero regulation, no laws, no state regulations, to bring about something in Congress. So that's going on. And we have this. We have economically. Okay. So now part of this master plan by God, the American people, President Trump, and the White Hats, Earth Alliance, is to bring down the deep state. Part of that has to do with bringing down the economy in all locations. That would the current economic systems operating in the U.S., Europe, Russia, China, Iran, and so on. So I have been putting out several times the information that JP Morgan Chase, their gold and silver and precious metal traders and their families were moved from Chicago at Thanksgiving to Singapore. Now this information comes out from Hal Turner. For the past 2 months, CEOs of U.S. corporations have been selling their own stock like mad. Now, before a company or CEO can sell their company's stock, they have to give notice of this 30 to 60 days before they do the selling. This correlates to the Thanksgiving date. JP Morgan Chase moved its traders and their families to Singapore around Thanksgiving. So now we're seeing many U.S. CEOs selling off their stocks. And the executives are selling their own stocks, and the companies are selling their own company stocks. This has been going on for the past 2 months. And today there was a noticeable large dump on the U.S. stock market of U.S. corporations. So that's going on. And we have this. Yeah. So now we'll talk about Iran. So now there's a Turkmenistan, a previous Soviet Union country. It's believed, according to intel released by Alexander Makuras, that Russia now has 5,000 troops here. Turkmenistan borders Iran. My interpretation of this, because we see the U.S. and Israel gearing up to hit Iran.
We're halfway. We got 18
And we
minutes.
see Russia and China only wanting to provide Iran with equipment and weapons and so on. Neither Russia nor China want to come against the U.S. military. So this information that Russia has placed 5,000 troops on the border of Iran, this is my interpretation based on what Russia has said and what they have done. I believe Russia has placed 5,000 troops on the border of Iran to facilitate extraction of Iranian leaders that want to get out of Iran. So that's going on. And we have this. We have that. And by the way, all of these countries the U.S. is currently hitting, Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, and economically hitting China, were involved in the 2020 presidential coup in the U.S. Yep. And we have this from Gulf News about Iran. Russia is evacuating. So right here, there's Bushehr nuclear power plant. Now, we're given to believe this is the only operating nuclear power plant in Iran. And it comes out that Russia built it and Russia has been operating it. Now, Russia is evacuating their staff from this nuclear power plant. And this information also came out from the Russian media source TASS and also from Russian government officials. So that's going on. And we have this. We also have from Dialogue Works, who did a interview with Professor Morandi. He's from Iran. And also Larry Johnson, previous CIA. Professor Morandi made this statement that if the military conflict kicks off between the U.S., Israel, and Iran, one of Iran's first hits is going to be on the UAE. Now, we know the U.S. has military bases in many parts of the Middle East. They have them in Oman. So Oman would be about here. They have them in Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, Iraq, Jordan, and other places. Saudi Arabia, yeah. So why Iran would first hit the UAE is unknown unless there's a large storage of U.S. weapons there. So that's coming out. And we have this. Yeah. So we have that China is only helping Iran with equipment and weapons. China is not going to actively defend with its military against the U.S. Now, I've been putting out this information. In China, they have 12 ruling families, out of which comes Xi, and also out of which comes the leaders of the Chinese military. Xi has either kidnapped or murdered two top generals. Well, he's taken down in the past 3 to 6 months many generals in the military. But apparently he took out the top general, Zhang Zi, who had 60% support of the rank and file soldiers in the Chinese military and 80% support for the officers in the military. Xi now is faced with being isolated because he has not received public support statements by either the CCP, the Communist Party, nor by the Chinese military. But it had come out that the Chinese military had been in disagreement with Xi for years. The Chinese military did not want to hit Taiwan, while Xi did. And I put forth, I believe there are military trained officers in the Chinese military who clearly recognize that their military, and we found out that the reason the Chinese military exists is not to defend China, but to defend the CCP against the Chinese people. So it appeared to me that there were some cognizant individuals in the Chinese military who understood the last thing in the world the Chinese military wanted to do was come against the U.S. military. So, yeah. So now Xi is surrounded now by the Chinese military, and he's not receiving public support by either the CCP nor the Chinese military. And he is selling off I put that report out yesterday, all crypto in China and outlawing China. First, China, the Xi, is stealing all of the crypto that's in Chinese accounts. And then he's closing the accounts and saying that crypto is no longer allowed in China. Plus, China is selling off all U.S. treasuries. So that's going on. Now, it's coming out, and we've been hearing for years. I believe Joshua Phillip with Crossroads has also been reporting on this for years, and other Chinese expert sources, that in China locks up Christians, Uyghurs, Falun Gong groups, any type of minority group. They lock them up, and then they harvest their organs. Well, apparently China's need for organs, so they were engaging in organ harvesting and then selling the organs to make money. But China now, the government has a company that ensures the rich and elite, because the treatment costs millions of dollars, can live to be 150 years old. Now, we heard details of this type conversation last year at a meeting between President Putin and President Xi. That was a topic of conversation, and that was made public. Now it's coming out that the Chinese government has a company that does provide these treatments to keep people young, but it requires stem cells and other body fluids from children. And so now what China is doing, besides harvesting the organs of minorities, China is engaging in kidnapping and harvesting the children of the Chinese people. And the Chinese people know this. That's why many Chinese people are withdrawing their children from school, because many times and at school, the Chinese government would go out to the schools and they would DNA and blood test the children. So if you have a rich and famous come in and they need a youth treatment, the Chinese government already has the child's DNA and blood, and they just go to the school and take the child and disappear them. Then if the parents are looking for the child, the Chinese government engages in a put-down, a public put-down of the parents searching for their missing child and calls them malicious child seekers. I mean, the Chinese, the CCP, these 12 ruling Chinese families have put forth, and as godless pagans, and as we learn more about China, there is nothing to dispel that perception. The more we learn, the more evil we see that China actually is. And we have this. So the Chinese people have known about this, that the Chinese government is kidnapping and harvesting Chinese children. And the birth rate in China has reached a 300-year low. This was reported by a Chinese expert. Now, I've been hearing for 2 to 3 years about questions about China's population. And I had put in place sources that, to my mind, brought this forth to be reality, that China during the COVID 2020 event had juiced up the shots to their people and then turned on 5G to see what it would do. And it had microwaved their people from the inside out. And it's put forth that thousands of Chinese people then were taken down immediately, falling in the streets of Wuhan, to the, of course, horror of the Chinese people. So the Chinese people have had many guideposts along the way, and to foundate to them the truth that the Chinese government was engaging in kidnapping and harvesting Chinese children. So now the birth rate, okay, China continues to put forth that it has 1.4 billion population. In the year 2025, and this information came from the Chinese government. They had 7.9 million births. Now, my knowledge of the numbers of a population, you would historically believe that at least 25% of your population is made up of children, like 1 to 12 years old. So According to this source, then this birth rate, 7.9 million, is the lowest ever recorded in China since the year 1738. And in 1738, it's put forth that China had a population of 151 million. So we see the Chinese people are fighting back against a godless and ruthless government. They're simply not having children. And we see if the Chinese parents can't find their child and they're actively looking, the Chinese government comes against them and calls them malicious child seeker. So what can we say about China? And we have this, a source, China in Focus. It's believed that February 6th, China does have nukes and that they tested some nukes. And it's believed, and it came out recently, that was from a program, I believe that was Colonel Davis Deep Dive. He had a interviewee on who stated, or it could have been from a Judge Napolitano show. And the person giving the information was credible, who said that in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia also has nukes, 4 to 7. And now we have this, that China, February 6th, was testing nukes. And President Trump, we know this nuclear START treaty had recently expired this month. That placed limits on what nations who signed the treaty would produce in terms of nukes. It was to help maintain a level playing field in the world. And President Trump said that treaty expired, and President Trump said he wanted a new nuke treaty to be signed by the U.S., Russia, and China. Of course, the godless pagan China declined. No, we're not going to put a limit on nuclear power. We're in the process of killing all the children in our nation so that the rich and famous can stay young. Do you think we're actually going to limit nukes so we can kill other people? Yeah, no. So that's going on. So it's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Here, we want to bring in Fox News contributor Josh.
Okay, well, a lot of good stuff today, like usual. That lady with the Walmart video was very important. So yeah, I'm gonna get some dinner going, and then I'll be back at 6. Tomorrow shopping day, so have a good dinner, everybody, and we'll see you after 6 o'clock. Lucy, Carol, Tim, Lion Eagle, and Kay's resting. Hopefully she'll be in tonight. JJ, yep, we had Mel today. It was an hour. We had Billy was 36, and a bunch of other good stuff. Got a lot of short ones we'll play tonight. A few 15-minute ones. So, God bless everybody. Love all. Remember, please hit the like and go to the description box, please, and make sure Sub to the backup channels. And yeah, Terry, sorry, I messed up again. I changed my mind again because we had a big show. Mel came out with our video. Billy was 36. And the YouTube lady was really important one that you might want to watch. And we'll be back on at 6. Tomorrow is shopping day. So we'll get the short videos and a few other 15-minute ones tonight at 6. So stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith, never give up. Signing off for a few hours, and Chico will do till after dinner. See you soon.